I never wanted this. I never wanted to unleash my legions.
This video is going to have pretty much every build in the game, gear set wise, brand set wise, ones you're really going to need. But remember, any talent you want to use on your backpack that gives you more damage or less damage, or however you choose to play, that is going to be on you. My goal here is to give you builds that you can literally take from Raid, from PvP, PvE. They all work in the same aspect over and over. You don't have to change anything or edit anything. They literally will work for anything you want to take them to. If someone else wants to say that these are not the best, that's fine. That's on them. But I went through and did all the numbers, cracked every single code I could to squeeze every ounce of damage and survivability for you and your team at the same time. So you can use these builds with 4-man or not. This is going to be on you. But first, we're going to get into some tactics on how to avoid damage. Now, the first and most important thing to learn in the division is tactics. Tactics are how you can take certain damages like these on the back of my board and gain things without losing things. Very simply explained, we'll get into the video and show you some tactics you might want to learn and use while using this game or playing this game. Now, the most basic one is being able to do this. Basically, being able to shoot without the enemy shooting you. To accomplish this, you need to use a shield. This is how you can actually do damage without losing damage. So if you're using talents like Vigilance or something like that, and you want to kill your enemy, this is how you do it. Use cover to your advantage. Again, the enemy might also take cover. If he circles around beside you on your left because you have to shoot off your right, this is where it can become detrimental. So knowing and watching where your enemy moves is vital, because if not, he will try to flank you. Another good tactic to learn is cover to cover. Don't just go out there in the open. This game is based on cover to cover. While playing with other teammates and things like that, you need to watch for these little indicators where you can get extra damages. For instance, these little blue lines you see right here. Those can actually tell you if you're within close to a teammate or not, if you're going to get certain boosts or not. Now, for PvP, the tactics will change. You do not have to have cover to cover. But again, make sure if your build or something like your damage range or something for your backpack talent needs to use cover, make sure that you're using that to your advantage. And remember, this game is based cover to cover. Tons of different things, even the specialists, give you more advantages for being in cover. So use it to your advantage. Again, tactics. Cannot stress this enough. All these builds you're about to see, they're based on giving you the most damage, the most survivability, or something of that specific build's boost. It's also based around team. Most of these will be for PvP or PvE, and they will be listed as such. So, again, if you see a build in here where someone else says something else, that's their opinion. Now, first and foremost, when it comes down to a good Pestilence build, it's all about the multiplicatives. It's not about anything else. It's about getting the tick damage out as well as the bullet damage. Now, my Pestilence that you can see right here, it's level 20. Eventually you can increase it to 22 right now. But the main thing is having this one small piece of Walker on and the Sawyers to get the most tick damage that you possibly can out of the build. Now, you can also increase it by putting on a second piece of Walker. But the Vigilance right here allows you to get that extra damage out, and this crit chance of a Cesca can also make it to where your bullets crit better from the Pestilence alone. Same with the Grupo. It allows the bullets damage to do more damage, not just the tick. So it's trying to find that even balance to give them a strong tick as well as to give a strong bullet damage. In so doing, we use the perfect glass cannon to give us the highest amount of damage possible. And again, with the regular vigilance that we have on the backpack, it's no difference in damage. So we can put a Cesca there, or a Grupo, or whatever we prefer. You can even put a second piece of Providence on your backpack. But again, trying to get the most bang for your buck is what matters. So you can see, even with all this crit chance, we're able to crit for 737. And again, once we get through their armor, it drops down because we're going to their health. But the tick range, as you see, we have the range set up. The 25 meter transfer range is a constant. That will not change. That will stay the same no matter what you do in this game. So that does not matter. So always go for the more damage for your tick, not your bullet damage, because your bullet damage will be limited by the crit chance and crit hit damage you can put on here, versus if you can put a second piece of Walker on, you can actually get more tick damage. As you can see, we're hitting 1.511. So 1.5 mil on an average plus 11, blah blah blah, and we can get more tick damage out of the build at the same time. Now again, if we hit a target up close and personal, the tick and everything else still stays the same. I have other videos on this that show even the tick stays the same at the meter at 50 meters away. So again, this build that you want to prefer to have needs to have high crit chance, some high crit damage for your bullets, as well as knowing the range of where the tick and the bullets damage drop off. The tick does not, so the range of the 35 meters is where the bullets damage drops off. So again, as we state over and over and over, test, test, test. So all the tests you find, we're going to show multiple versions of a Pestilence build and how to obtain them to what you prefer as a player. So as y'all saw, we had 1.511 mil on a 20 expertise. But like I said, we can also go to a second piece of Walker to increase the tick's damage, while still having a lot of crit chance and a lot of crit hit damage. This allows your player to still be able to crit versus using weapon handling. And if you wish to, you don't have to use that specific holster. You can go to this to where your bullets damage does more versus the Brazos. Now again, is the Brazos best in slot? Not always. Having this piece of Grupo, this one single piece, the weapon damage is still the same because we got 15 on the Brazos, but now we've got extra crit chance and the same amount of crit hit damage on the pieces of gear, but we also gain an extra 15. So now if you see, our bullets are hitting for 732. So we didn't drop as much on our bullet damage, which I think is only about 20,000. But for the tick damage, we're also gaining an extra bit, which can push it up to, and once we get this maxed out, we'll see the difference. We're hitting for literally 60,000 more in a tick. And that's per second. You see, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. So every second we get an extra 70,000. So again, having the Grupo on gives your bullet more damage because you have high crit chance, and then getting that second piece of Walker gives you even more damage. It's still ticking away in the background, but again, we can even trade this to Foxes rather than the Sawyers. Now, why is this sometimes a better option? Because the Sawyers, you have to stay still to max it out. So if you are having to move around, you can easily throw on this set of Foxes to give yourself more maneuverability, but still keep the damage. So the damage is still staying out there. See, it's still high. It's not, we haven't lost a whole ton, but we did lose some because again, the Sawyers, if you move even an ounce of an inch or whatever, you lose damage and you have to restart. Versus this right here, you can continuously keep that damage going and be maneuverable. So again, Foxes is honestly the better choice to go, but if you want to have that like Guinness World Book of Records type damage, that is where you would want to go with the Sawyers. So like this, see, if I maneuver around, it will not increase, it won't do anything for anybody who doesn't know. So the Sawyers is not best. As long as I keep moving, I don't get this extra damage. And you see, we're barely hitting for 1 point something mil. 101, I believe. So again, Sawyers, we lose damage because we have to move. Versus putting the Foxes on, you get that extra damage right off the rip, no matter what you do. So again, Foxes is the better. So again, if we put the Foxes, the Grupo, the Cesca, the Walker, or if you wanted to do a second piece of Walker on there to increase your tick damage, which would be the better choice, that is where it becomes player's choice. But you need to, if you want to have the best one where you have everything, it will be Cesca, Grupo, Foxes, Contractors, Sacrifice chest piece, and then one piece of Walker. What you would normally trade for to get that extra tick damage, which means more damage in the long run, is a second piece of Walker where you have your Cesca, wherever you have your Cesca at. So, that's the Pestilence build. So this will be a fourth wall type vision. We have two different style of talents on the same weapon. But we're also going to be showing two different type of chest pieces. Now, we have Boomerang versus Rifleman. Which one is stronger? Which one is better for the player? Honest to God, you're better off with doing Boomerang than you are Rifleman. Unless you're on mouse and keyboard or computer, because that way you can always guaranteed land your headshots without missing your shots and keeping that damage high. If you're unable to make those headshots, you're better off with Boomerang. That is where it becomes player's choice. Because if you miss, you have 5 seconds to get that secondary shot and keep your stacks going with Rifleman. But when it comes to Boomerang, making sure that you just have enough crit chance and crit damage to get that piece to come back, you have a 50% chance to come back and get more damage out of your weapon, or your build. Now, with that being said, again, this is where it becomes player's choice. But the chest piece talents and everything else, it matters about getting that high crit chance out, but not having too much crit chance because of your mask. The Coyote's mask is where this all comes down to what you put on your weapon. Because you have a Coyote's mask, you can put in those crit chance mods like I have and bring up your crit chance to around 50. And you lose only 5% on your critical hit damage, but you will always have the same amount of headshot damage no matter what you do on your build. Now, with that being said, we have the chest piece, Focus. We have Vigilance on our backpack, a piece of Cesca and a piece of Grupo, the Petrov gloves, and the Overlord knee pads, the Foxes. Now, the Coyote's mask will give the player that extra critical hit damage crit chance, but Focus is where your most damage will be versus the glass cannon. How is because of this one chest piece, the Pristine example, it actually gives 10% more than just regular Focus, and that can actually boost you way up past glass cannon. But because most of the rifles you'll be using is going to give you the crit chance, that is where you can drop or increase your crit chance as you need, because they're going to be so far away, you're most likely going to be giving you and your teammates that extra crit chance versus the critical hit damage. Now, again, like we said, we have Cesca, we have Grupo, as you can see right here, and if you want to, you can trade out for a Picaro's holster if you want some survivability or bringing your skill haste back, but it's not going to be stronger than the Grupo. The Grupo will always beat the Picaro's holster for damage output in this slot. So, you're always going to be better off with that. Same with the Foxes. You cannot beat the damage to targets out of cover. As for the Petrov gloves, that's where it becomes player's choice, because if you're fighting Changas or not, that is where you may lose damage. So we're going to test these two weapons out to see which one gives the most. So we're going to show the Boomerang right here. We'll show you what it maxes out for with Focus being fully maxed. Here we go. About 517 to 58. 517 again, and if we get the crit to come back, there's a 58. So we could say around 517, because that's a normal before the bullet returns back to give us that damage. So 517. As you can see, as long as we're landing headshots, our damage goes up higher. We're hitting 5.8 easily, and it maxes at 6.2. So as you can see, 6.2, 5, 5.8. So 5.8 right there to 6.2. Now, if we use the orbit, which is another way to get extra crit chance and crit hit damage out, and I don't know why I didn't have the orbit in here, but okay, here we go. We have the orbit. That's going to give us an extra bit of crit chance and an extra bit of critical hit damage. So this right here would be the maximum amount you will see, and I'm going to show you all that right here, right now. Solo. We're going to go ahead and just shoot this target, get some damage out, try to maybe get one of those things to come back in a short period of time. We're maxed 5.6 on average versus 5.1 before. So 5.6. So we jumped up almost 500k. So if we do this with Rifleman, let's kill this target, go to Rifleman. There we go. 5.8 easily. 6.8. We max at 6.8. So we've literally jumped up a lot of damage right there. Now for glass cannon. Now with the glass cannon, because it is glass cannon, you can easily go and get the sacrifice chest piece and put on 3 pieces of Providence. It will literally give you the same thing as a piece of Cesca and a piece of Grupo, because as you can see, we get those extra 3-piece bonus. But because you're using the glass cannon, you can easily go get a gift backpack from the Dark Zone, and that's going to shorten your duration of when you get to take in damage to actually doing damage. So rather than having 4 seconds, you have 3. So there's no difference in change in here. That's why in some build and some build videos you might see on the internet or in YouTube, they're going to have 3-piece Providence. But again, as you see, we still have the same weapons. Everything is still the same. We're not changing much. The only difference is we've got more crit chance now because of what we have on our weapon. So again, you can easily drop that down and go to a different set versus having that. Now again, we also gain 10% more headshot damage because of the Providence on here. So that actually does increase for extra weapon damage on headshots. So we still have to show it, so here's the finisher. .58. So we max at 5.8, and that's with the boomerang. So let's go to this pistol again. And remember, we're trying to beat 6.8 with the Rifleman. We can't beat 6.8, and it's not good. We're only hitting for 6. So again, that should be enough to prove you, even with the most critical hit chance and critical hit damage, Rifleman on Focus is still stronger no matter what. Now, of course, any good player must have or should have at least one skill build on their build. Typically, you're going to use the Technician to get that extra free skill tier out. This is going to allow you to get some extra skill damage as well out of your build. The number one weapon to use is going to be your capacitor, but because you're also using the capacitor, do not use the AR, which gives you the perfect combined arms, or in sync, excuse me. Because if you run out of ammo by using the capacitor, or put on pistolero and other things like that where you have to get ammo, using up 2 weapons that have the same ammo type can be detrimental. So always put on a Harmony on your build, so that way you have a backup of a different ammo source type. On the Harmony though, it depends on what the player chooses to put. You can put crit chance, crit damage, or anything like I have as stability, so that way you can basically shoot the target while staying in cover and not taking as much damage and keeping that in sync out. But those will be your 2 number 1s. As for your number 3 for your pistol, definitely run just a regular card 45. Do not worry about using the card custom 45, because that's just going to waste an extra skill tier that you don't need to waste. versus this can give you a little bit more damage on your pistol. Though damage to targets out of cover does not affect any of your skills, it is still better to have that in your repertoire. Now, the Busy Bee used to give players the extra damage. They took that away, so now you can just put on a card 45, damage targets out of cover, in sync, and go to town. This is literally the strongest skill build in the game. Now, it is not a hybrid build. This is the strongest for skills. Why? Because you get the skills back really fast. They do the maximum amount of damage for the skill. That is what defines a skill build. Just because you have 2 skills on does not mean it's a full skill build that needs to have something that does damage of some sort, or something that does a specific job like healing. So, on here, the Hannah U is still going to be stronger, and we will show this later in this video, that putting on like an extra piece of Wyvern here does not make it stronger. Now, the Providence chest piece literally will give you the maximum amount of damage for your skill and your weapon at the same time. But a cool part is, if you have one like this exactly, you can roll the core to blue and get rid of 10% incoming damage to allow you some more survivability. Player's choice can also just leave it as red and get more damage out from your weapon. Again, that is where it becomes player's choice. Now, controversial, though this does give you 30% skill damage total when it's on one of your skills, the transfer also goes back to 0. So technically, in a sense, this only gives the extra skill damage of around 15% on your build, because you're losing to 0 and gaining to 30. So it basically, you even yourself out during the transfer, so it's only 15% more in skill damage. Now, we have a max skill damage mod here, so this is the max damage you will see out of the turret. And we also have a max damage mod on our drone, so that's going to give you an idea of where the max damage is at currently, and I believe I have my skills up to either 10 or 11. So here is video footage for you to see what is the strongest damage possible on your turret at those levels, especially with expertise. So you can see we're waiting for the transfer to come back over to the turret, and here we go. 304, 304, 425. Now, if we were to say swap this out for the turret for, say, the drone, we can also see what the damage is for that. But again, this is the max with the sacrifice chest piece and the Hannah U backpack. Let's clear that target real quick. As also for the weapon, see what the weapon was. And again, on the low side, as you see, this is what I'm talking about. It goes up. The numbers keep going up and up and up. So again, it's only about 15%. Again, ladies and gentlemen, nothing more. So when someone says, oh, this gives 30%, you got to realize it goes down to 0 for 10 seconds. It goes up to 0 or 30 for 10 seconds. And so in between there, you have a transfer. So in between there, you lose damage as it transfers. And also when it's at 0. So that's only 15%. So 190, 192.85, I believe, or 192.65 for the drone as the max for skill damage. So here we're going to do this. Very simple, very easy. I'm going to show it to you in this video. We're going to trade out the Hannah U backpack right here for an Empress. And yes, just wait. We're going to show that this one piece of Empress and a piece of Wyvern on your build does not hit harder. So we got the Empress here, and I believe I have my Wyvern right here on the knees. So we have the max potential skill damage, is what some people want to claim. Don't worry about the mod slot, it's just skill haste. We'll leave that out. As you saw before, we had 304, correct? And some change. So let's max out our weapon. Here comes the transfer for the turret. 33975. It's literally about a 300 to a 400 difference in each bullet from there. So go for the skill haste, that 10% more, so you can get your skills back even faster and you're still beating the damage of the Wyvern alone. So again, what we can do is we can swap it right back and show you again. We'll even put on the Empress chest piece to show this version, to show that some people think that even having the Wyvern, Empress, and all that would still give you the more with the Hannah U. Just to cover all bases, in case anybody wants to say otherwise. Oh, it's going to transfer. So instead of making y'all wait for the transfer, I just waited for the transfer. Again, here's the build. Here it is, full transfer. 303975. So exactly the same as the other one with the Providence and the Empress backpack. Literally the exact same. So no matter what, the Providence will give you the most damage out of your build. The only difference is you have more survivability with the Empress and the Wyvern on there. But if you put on, again, a piece of blue onto the Providence, you would get the most damage and take away that 10% from your damage. You're just losing weapon damage, basically. That's the only trade-off. So this build is still going to be the absolute strongest for your skills to have damage. And as you see, we also have like 385 in bullet damage as well. This is a skill build. It's all based around the yellows, helping out the skill. Now, this build right here, this is a hybrid build. This is not a skill build, this is a hybrid build, because you are also basing your build around critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and your weapons damage. So, this is the strongest hybrid build in the game, period. You're using 3-piece Empress on your build, 1 extra piece of Brazos, the Memento backpack, and the Picaro's holster. Now, the idea and the concept behind this is to even out your critical hit chance and your critical hit damage throughout your build. So, for instance, if my knee pads or holster or whatever, let's say the chest piece, as you see, I have critical hit chance and critical hit damage. That is where you can swap things out. As well as like on your chest piece, though you have glass cannon. If you do not prefer glass cannon, you can actually help your team when you want to do team-based stuff. Put on something like Overwatch on your chest. Don't use the Ferocious Calm. I'm just showing you this as a photo so that way you can understand. Because the Overwatch will eventually boost enough players, if you have up to 4, to where it outdoes the glass cannon effect solo-wise, because your teammates are now getting the extra boost in weapon damage and skill damage at the same time. So once you have 4 players total, or actually once you have a 3rd player in your team, Overwatch outproduces your glass cannon by giving your other players that extra damage that you lose. But the glass cannon, if you have a healer on your team or something of that nature to keep you alive because you don't like the glass cannon effect, that can actually make it to where glass cannon then becomes the stronger boost in damage. So this is where, again, it becomes player's choice of what chess piece talent you prefer. Are you playing solo or are you playing in a group? Now, again, we have the Memento stacks maxed out. As you see, we're hitting for 455 on the chest versus 380 something on the chest with the other build. So again, as we hit headshots, of course, the damage is going to go up. So we're gaining more in weapon damage on this for chest shots compared to the other one of 380 on the other build. And the drone maxes out for 130 on this versus, I believe it was like 190, 180. But again, the Memento backpack is where you can get in this skill haste, the skill damage, the armor regen, keep the solo player alive. As for good backup, honestly, it depends on player's choice, but a good shotgun when enemies get close within sync is really nice because you have that crit chance, you have the crit damage. A good shotgun, you don't have to use the custom M870S if you don't want to, but having a good shotgun just allows you to get that damage out for your player. Now this one here is a build of my design. This one here we've tested out a few times, found a few flaws that I gave in my last Codex, and we upgraded it to what it is now. Now this build right here will literally allow you to run and gun. No need for a shield, no need to worry about anything. You still get the same as that other hybrid build, but this one here allows you to actually get more weapon damage while your drone can actually survive, come back to you, go do more damage, and so forth. As you see, we have 51% crit chance, 144% crit hit damage, 70% headshot damage. Now, with this, the main weapon you're going to be using is the Vector 45. As you can see, we have 40% submachine gun damage. Now, the reason why is because that's how we're going to get our crit chance out. So, most SMGs allow you to use it, but again, technician specialists, but these two specific SMGs allow for the in-sync, the drone, and the laser pointer so you can spot your targets all at the same time. Now you can put on Future Perfect if you want to get your skill to jump up to level 6, or just run it with In Sync. Again, but these two specific weapons, the Vector 45 and the UMP 45, the UMP basically is as strong as the Kingbreaker, if not a little bit more. But you would not use a capacitor even though you get the skill tiers, because it doesn't have that much crit chance versus the crit hit damage. Now you could make this into an AR type build and use the capacitor if you want to, but this allows you, again, with all this missing crit hit chance, to use these types of weapons and spray your target down. So first one, we have a Cesca mess. Now you do not have to have the Cesca in this spot. You can put Sokolov in here if you want to, but we have critical hit damage and skill damage basically everywhere. The Memento backpack, critical hit damage, that's where we're going to get our regen from so we can keep moving, as well as the extra skill efficiencies. But this spotter, even though we lose 5% supposed weapon damage, we make up for it with the SMG damage of the Sokolov. And though we lose 5% on the drone because the perfect spotter gives 20% total, we make up for with extra skill damage mods elsewhere, like on these gloves. So that is where we kind of even everything out. We have a perfect 3 red, 3 blue, 3 yellow. Now we also have an added weapon damage core down here, so that basically kind of in a sort of way gives you 4 red cores, 3 blues, and 3 yellows. Now we have Overlord knee pads with a skill tier, and you don't have to have the skill tier on this if you can find other pieces, again, so on elsewhere. So let's take a look at some damage numbers, shall we? And this is prior to the Memento stacks. So 321. And you can see we can keep the spotter going, we can keep In Sync going the entire time, so it's non-stop damage. And you see, drone, just, it'll keep shooting, you keep shooting, and so on and so forth. That way, you and your drone just work as a team and take down a target. Now, again, we have everything still set up. We went and got Memento stacks. So let's show you what it's like when it's maxed out against a named enemy in the shooting range, so you can see what the actual damage is. Got our drone out, In Sync, 352, and that's on the chest shot. 453 on the headshot. And our drone is hitting for almost 89 for something. I think it's 89,491. Yeah, 89,491. So there you go. Again, you're able to just walk around with this right here. I wouldn't take this into legendary, but it's definitely good for heroic. So, and again, here's the regen effect. This is 3% regen, as you can see. So there may be times where you still have to put on a med kit, but if you can get the kills and keep the damage going, that's even more important, because the faster you kill them, the faster you can get your armor back. So again, it's very simple. And again, we can even show the closer chest piece, but this is still the better way to set it up. Guaranteed. You'll get the most damage out of it. So just to show, we put on the closer chest piece, or we can put on a closer chest piece, and show you the damage numbers real quick. I got one with skill damage, and we'll even put on the critical hit damage and show you in comparison of the damage. $325. We were hitting for 350, so we've lost damage, as you can see. 424 versus I think it's 460 something. So yeah, definitely a loss in damage. And we'll swap it right back real quick before we do it, so we can show it again. This way you can just see my gun damage on this target. Yeah, 306. Oh, it's not pulsed. Dang it. And it's still not pulsed. This is another thing that is messing up in the dark, or not in the dark zone, but in the shooting range. Kill the target. There we go. Pulse. 352. So yeah, we're definitely doing more damage with this than we would be with the closer chest piece. So there you go. Now this build right here is absolutely, how do I put this? This is not the strongest mortar build. Though it looks nice and pretty, it is not the strongest mortar build. 3-piece Empress does not give you the max on your mortar, but what's cool about it is the extra health damage you would get from this in the Empress actually does increase your mortar's damage, because the more health the skill has, the more damage it actually does for some odd reason on the mortar. But the Grupo Sombra getting the 2-piece out is actually more deadly than the Empress. And when you throw in that 3rd piece that you would need, you put in the Wyvern, it literally just gives it that much more, because it's technically like 5% with all this. 5%. So you can see, we'll show you the damage on this mortar build. There we go. All right, it is stacked. We'll shoot it, get rid of it, bring this back. Mortar 7364. So yeah, that's the max with the 3-piece Empress. So what we'll do is we'll swap this out and put on the Grupo. We'll put on the Grupo. And we'll put on the Wyvern. Now this is 15% extra explosive damage versus basically 10% skill damage. So this is very specific damage. Let's kill this target. So as you can see, we're hitting for 7.8. So basically we got an extra 500k just because of that 5% boost. So again, though it's skill damage versus explosive damage, and though it's more specific, you can do numbers and just say, okay, well, we had 20% skill damage over here versus 25% total because you have 10 and 15. So either way, the Grupo still wins, period, by 500k. Now, another thing is, a lot of people have asked, why don't you put on a Hollow Man mask so you can damage the Chungas with it? For one, I can't test it out because I don't have it. Number two, the hazard protection, you lose damage in some way, some manner, somewhere. So, is it the better piece to have? No, it's really not the better piece to have. If you want to test that out and you actually have that, please let me know if that works or not, because that would be great, you know, making a mortar work against a Chunga. But still, the damage to armor increases the status effects, so that's better. As for the backpack talent, shock and awe is pretty much a must for your mortar build. It's going to allow you to keep that damage going because you basically put them on bleed and then boom, you keep it going. Versus tech support, you have to get a kill. So if, let's say you're fighting just the Chunga and he's the only thing left. If you don't give a kill and the timer runs out, you lose damage. Same with combined arms. Combined arms, you might be able to shoot the target, but the target's really far away for your mortar to hit, so before that 3 seconds is up, you lose damage. So, shock and awe is the better talent to have. You're basically only trading about 5% skill damage there, and you make up for it with the other damages of the Grupo. So, there you go. Now, while that one mortar build is the strongest, other people want to say that the Providence Chest and Wyvern are better than that one holster and a piece of Wyvern. Honestly, that's if you just want to do continuous damage. If you want the most damage, you're going to use the Waveform holster and the Wyvern chest piece. But we can show the damages here. 7.266. So again, we hit pretty hard and it's continuous, consistent damage. But because it's also not allocated exactly for the mortar, we'll never see the 7.8 that you saw before. So if we go to this, see we hit for 6.3, jumps back up to 7.6 now. So how do we go from 7.2 to 7.6? Well, that's because we just put on the Providence chest piece. But again, it's no 7.8, is it? No. So again, the Wyvern chest piece is still going to be your better bet for the mortar, and having the Waveform holster on to get the most bang for your buck. Again, if you want to do consistent heavy damage, you can always just do the Providence and do the Wyvern holster if you just want to do consistent, continuous damage. But you'll still never beat the max of the Wyvern chest piece glass cannon, which is 7.8 right there, as you saw, and the Waveform holster. Now we've come to the sniper turret. This one has changed just a tad. Now, as you can see, we found one piece of Hazpro, and it gives us the headshot damage, the skill damage, and combined arms. Now, you can put tech support if you preferably wish on your backpack, but again, if you're fighting like Chongas or something like that, if you don't have a kill, the sniper turret's damage loses. So sometimes combined arms can be a bonus. But because we also have glass cannon, this gives our weapon, and on top of that, it also gives our sniper turret the most damage. And it's the perfect glass cannon. So using that to get the extra headshot damage out, as well as having the 3-piece Empress and 1-piece Wyvern, will give you the most skill damage plus the most headshot damage out of the build to give your sniper turret a maximum amount of damage. Now, you do not have to use glass cannon if you do not want to, but as you can see, I'm also missing a 5% damage mod. I'll put that in here later on and show you what it is, but we'll just show you what it maxes out, even minus 5% headshot damage. And again, aiming down your scope is going to allow for the extra headshot damage. Now, the headshot damage on the scope that I'm using right here does not count for your weapons or your skills extra damage. As you can see right here, I can even stack the capacitor, use this, And once I get the stack, I can even zoom in to where I can aim for those headshots with the capacitor, thus allowing me to hit the 7.3 mil headshot. That's right, 7.3 to 7.4. Now, some people say that adding crit chance or crit hit damage into your build on the sniper turret actually increases your damage. So what we'll do is we'll show the crit chance right here, and then we'll show the critical hit damage later on in this video, just to show that it doesn't actually make your bullet crit more, because if it does, it would show up as orange, correct? There you go, it's still blue because it's doing the damage to their armor. So again, the critical hit chance does not increase, even if you put it on here, does not increase the damage of your output. Just going for the headshot damage, because again, you can aim for the headshot with a specific weapon, is going to give you the more bang for your buck. Now here's something else. The Maxim pistol, which comes with this specialist, actually does give you the perfect spike, excuse me. So this pistol will allow you to still get that damage out with the headshot without actually having to zoom in. And to show that it doesn't give more damage to this, because we have the sniper scope on this one versus no sniper scope, we can actually show that it gives the same amount of damage. And again, we can also show that the critical hit damage does not affect this in this part of this video. So when someone puts on that right there, or tells you to put it on there, just know it's not right. You can see we hit there, get those headshots, and we get a fresh target, shoot in the head, 15.3, just like the other one, 15.3. Now again, 17 point something, that was with the capacitor. So again, that's going to allow you to get the most. Now here's where we have the max amount of skill damage. So we put on the extra 5% mod, got the surge, got everything out here. And again, this is where it becomes player's choice. But again, one thing is the White Death, which is the max headshot damage on this, that does not go for your skills. That is for the sniper rifle alone. Only the attributes area, not the core attributes, is what counts for what is on your weapon. So you want to make sure you have something that gives you that extra headshot damage as the bottom attribute when you use it. You see 17.4. Now that's with, or sorry, 15.3. The next one should be 17.4. My bad. So if we max out the capacitor, and again, we use the capacitor's piece to zoom in to see the headshot. There it is. You saw it. I'll do it again, just in case. 17.6. My bad. It went up because of the 5%. Now we come to the Oxidizer. Oxidizer builds are very simple. They are all based around the skill damage and the multiplicatives, like the glass cannon effect, as well as things like damage to armor, damage to targets out of cover. So having the perfect glass cannon is vital. Now you can trade this to a blue, like I said before in other videos, but you want the 3-piece Empress, Petrov gloves, Fox's knee pads, because the damage to armor actually affects it. The Fox's prayers, damage targets out of cover, affect the chem launcher. Now, because of that, we want the most, so we use a 612. Now, will that give us the absolute most? No, because things like LMGs will also give you more damage targets out of cover, but it won't give you more damage to armor. But where this gives you the most is the capacitor, maxing out the capacitor, just because you can get an extra 60% rather than the in-sync. But the shotgun will give you instantly more damage than the capacitor because you don't have to stack it up. Now I do not have a max damage mod on here right now. I will show that later on in this video, just so that way you'll see what the absolute max is for damage. But again, this right here is still going to be, with your build, the strongest. And because we have that extra core, remember, you can trade this to a blue on your chest piece if you can get it. But I'm also going to show, because some people still believe that the Oxidizer is based off of status effects. If it is, I could proc it with Shock and Awe. As you see, it's not getting procced with shock and awe. That should be a clear indicator that it does not work for status. Now, is there another way we can test? Yes, you could even put on Wicked on your backpack. If you do a status effect with this, it would actually do damage. Now, someone says that it's based on whatever it says right here, as it gives status effects. No, it does not say it on that skill. So again, if we wanted to test it out, you could also put on Tech Support. This is another thing I want to stress. Tech Support allows you to get this kill, keep the damage, and you're able to do damage. Now, here's the problem with Tech Support. If you don't get an initial kill with it, guess what? You're not getting the damage. So this is where it becomes player's choice of, do you want to do damage off the rip, like putting on combined arms, shooting the target like I'm doing right here, and then shooting the target actually with your gun? Or do you want to get that kill off of, say, a red, maybe keep it, and then do instantaneous damage for longer duration? That is where it becomes player's choice. So, like this right here, combined arms. All I have to do is shoot a target over there, across the way, and then shoot the target with my shotgun, and I get instantaneous damage. So I'm going to show that here. Boom. Shoot it with the shotgun, instant damage, and keep it going. So now that we've demonstrated that, we can also, like I was saying before, you can even go out and test this if you want to see what the max is. And I'll show the numbers right here of what the max is, because either way you use for your backpack or anything, again, Tech Support or combined arms, it's only 25%. That is going to be the max that you're going to have from this. Now, again, we need that third piece of Empress, which you could technically use the Hannah U get more skill haste out, but that third piece of Empress is going to give you the more damage. So let's max out the capacitor, show you what the absolute max is for this. And you see even the damage goes up as you shoot the capacitor. So you see 700. Now I have another video out about this, about the Eclipse Protocol. This is where it becomes player's choice, but you want to have the firewall specialist on, because this allows you to have that shotgun that comes with it to damage things like dogs. Now this is going to be your strongest damage skill build for Eclipse. Why? Because it can, as you're solo with one player, can kill a named NPC with this ability. Plus you get the shotgun's actual damage to go up as well. The status on the shotgun goes up as well. Plus you get the 30%. Now I have another video on this to show y'all. You can go look through it, but again, this is accurate. Now as for saying using the actual Eclipse chest piece over here, that's going to extend your duration. That's going to extend the range of transfer, but you cannot pass up the Vial Mask. Like, the Vial Mask is a must on this, because you just get so much more out of it to give yourself more damage. One day I'm hoping the devs will change that to skill damage and status effects. But again, Eclipse Protocol, you're basically just going status effects everywhere else. And again, use the backpack. Do not use Creeping Death, for the love of God. System Aggravator gives you 30% just for using the backpack. It's instantaneous. And then again, this is where it becomes player's choice, whether you want to use the chest piece like this or use an Eclipse chest piece. Now, on here, the difference between Wyvern and Golan. Golan gives you the status effects, Wyvern will give you the skill damage. So the initial burst from the skill will do damage, and you still get the same amount of status effects for damage than the Golan, but the Golan only extends your duration of 0.6 seconds. So not even a full second longer duration. So get your damage out by using a Wyvern. Plus it's easier, and it's already got a skill tier. That makes it easier for your stuff. The Golan does not give you actual more status effects, because the skill damage versus status effects on here are literally equal. So, hitting a target like this right here, as you see, we're hitting for a crap ton, like 560. You can even keep that sticky on them and get more damage for them to where they can't come off of burn. But as you can see, we take them down to one chunk of armor, right? So if I come over here, let's clear this target. We're going to set this sucker for close. And you see, we can even get weapon damage. This is another thing I'm trying to prove. You get more weapon damage just from using the glass cannon. And we can transfer to another target. And it can transfer just by leaving it on there. As you see, I haven't detonated it. Now when I detonate it, it's going to go away. So you can actually stick a target and you don't have to actually detonate that. Now another good backup weapon is a double barrel shotgun. The reason why is because it gives you the most damage to armor. Damage to armor does more status effects. Plus it's so accurate you can actually hit a target sometimes, not always, like I am trying to shoot right here, right in the head from far without having to worry about anything. Then when you status effect them, it jumps up. So you can see we're hitting for 720 right here. Now watch this. I can kill a named enemy. Kill a named enemy with that amount of status. So now we come to the Eclipse chess piece version. Again, you do not have to have the golem. You can use a wyvern. It will still be the exact same in damage on status. The only difference is you're going to have 0.6 seconds more duration, which is not even a full second. So again, we land our shot on the head. And just to make sure, we're just going to set this for, actually, you know what? No, we'll set it back for very hard. Just like we had with the other one. You can see, we're not getting the 720 in status, we're getting 576. So, we detonate it. Is it enough to transfer? Just enough to transfer. So again, that's what you're trading. You're trading that range right there for no damage on your weapons. So when people also say that that needs to be able to do status, you also need to be able to do your weapon damage as well. If you're just doing status and you can walk around and blast the rest of it off with a shotgun, but you didn't do it because you didn't have that on there, again, that's where it becomes player's choice. Use the Eclipse chess piece or don't use the Eclipse chess piece. That's your choice. Now again, I haven't changed anything on the build, but I want y'all to watch this. If you don't mind taking the time and not believing me, if you want to believe me, that's fine. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But I'm going to prove it to you. There's the target. And he lives just by a smidgen. Does that mean I couldn't have shot him with my shotgun? I could have. But again, that was one shot, right? Okay. So I'm going to do it right here. You see I'm changed everything over just for y'all. So there's no edits in the video. Reset the target. And we'll try to get this thing to proc. Oh, what the hell? Oh, wrong shotgun. Wrong shotgun. Swap to this one. As a matter of fact, we're going to reset the target. Here we go. Hit him in the head. Got the talent. Hit him. 720. Again, could I have shot him with my shotgun a second time? Each one got one shot, but that one's dead. The other one didn't. So again, killing the target is more important than just keeping the status going at the same time. Killing the target is your #1 goal. Now, to add to this, the one thing that is getting frustrating right now, and maybe this will be changed later on. If it does get changed, this actually might be a good weapon, okay? But this new Sacrum Imperium, you can re-roll this from health damage like I have to something else. Don't worry about the King Breaker or anything like that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to show you about this. This is an Eclipse build. No matter what I do, it should be able to transfer. And as well as Focus should eventually work on this. The developers said that they will be fixing this later. If so, I'll put it on a completely different video, but this is still going to be left in here to show that the devs messed up. But as you can see, I have to aim at this target for 2 full seconds. But Eclipse should automatically spread on transfer to all those targets, correct? Well, if I kill this target with a headshot, the transfer will not transfer from Eclipse to all the targets. It will only transfer to the target that has been targeted. So the one to the left right there will be the only one to catch fire. That is an issue. If this gets fixed, that might actually be pretty good, because then players can actually put on things like trauma, other stuff, get the headshot, transfer to other ones, versus having to use creeping death, because creeping death on this type of build is bullshit. You need to have the backpack for the extra 30% damage. But as you can see, I can damage these guys and the transfer goes over automatically. That's what Eclipse should do, but it's not doing it with this sniper rifle. So again, hopefully this gets fixed later on. Future Healer. Always a good one to have in your repertoire. Again, the main thing is going to be the crossbow, because it gives outgoing healing. Because of this outgoing healing, we can actually heal more than what this is allowing to, because it gives you an extra 15% of outgoing healing from you to another player. And that is where if you heal yourself, you actually heal them for an extra 15% from the Alps, which is your repair skills. Now, you can set these up tons of different ways. For instance, you can put on the build to where it looks like this, but you see we still drop basically nothing except for skill haste, the duration of when it comes back. As such, you can also put on, like we can put on the actual max repair skills and show you all that it didn't drop, truly. There you go, it jumps back up to 1.53. So again, this is still the max. You just lose skill haste. If you wanted to, you can even put on the BTSU gloves, get an overcharge. And again, here you go, 1.53. So again, the good part about this type of build is just how you choose to run it. The only bad part is the backpack is not the best. Safeguard is honestly the best for it, because for two reasons. One, the backpack talent of the future only allows for a 5-meter heal up to 120. If you add in the 60 that it automatically gives you, plus the safeguard, that allows you to heal players up to 160 inside of a 5-meter range and 100% outside of the 5-meter range. So if I drop this, if you see where this hive is right here, or if I were to drop it right here, that's 5 meters. So right there where that target is, that line, that's a 5 meter. So right here from the center of my skill to that line out there, that is the 5-meter range. That is where you would only get the 120 effect of the backpack. But I'm getting 160 by using safeguard. But if I step outside this line right here and my safeguard is going, I'm still giving my teammates 100% heal, versus the future backpack would give them 0, zilch, nothing. So the future backpack is not the better option to have on your build, especially out here in past. Another thing is the RNK. The RNK chest piece, or a piece of RNK on your build, gives that 15% from the crossbow an extra loop of 20%. So that 20% basically turns into an extra 15 from here, which turns it into an extra 35. So having that 35 plus the safeguard ability, basically in short, can turn it into around 130. I think the numbers were really like 126 or something like that outside of the 5-meter range, and up to I believe it was 188 inside, and that's the actual math on this. So to demonstrate the loop effect, what we can do is this. We can show one player getting damaged while a couple of other guys get damaged, and show that while they're standing outside of this here range, which is around the 1 or the 5-meter range, being right outside of it, we can actually heal another player and so forth. So we've got another YouTuber, Wrecked. He's going to help us demonstrate this. And it's very simple. All he has to do is bleed us and shoot Storm.
You have been promoted to group leader.
Here we go.
Nearby agent has become.
As you can see, as we take damage, it goes over there, heals him, and it gives a loop effect.
Hive detected.
You can see it jumps back over, not just the hive, but as we get healed, he gets healed. Now, another way to demonstrate this is me being way over here and away from them. While they're inside my hive, I heal one, it's going to heal the other one at the same time, giving an even stronger loop effect while I'm way out here outside of my hive. All I have to do is drop a chem, and you'll see my chem heal me and heal them when the hive isn't.
Agent has gone rogue.
There it is. See that double jump?
Detected.
You see the double jump? That's from the hive and from me and from them.
Hostile striker.
That's how you can prove that the RNK gives a loop effect.
Rogue Stinger Hive.
Now this is a legendary booster healer, okay? Like I said, there's tons of ways you can run it with the BTSU gloves or without the BTSU gloves. This one here benefits your entire team with a bunch of boosts. This gives them weapon damage and skill damage. Now, you have to use the Technician because of the Artificer Hive. This is how we heal their skills, okay? And another thing is, when you heal their skills, if the player is standing right beside their skill, they actually do get a little bit of repairs done to the player. Not a lot, because it actually isn't repairing a player with a chem. But because you also have the future initiative on, if you heal yourself, you can heal your other teammates, so stay closer to them. But the Artificer Hive boosts up their skills damage by 71%, and I have 11% extra boost onto this. It's only technically 1% more from what the original is, but here we can give them 25% weapon and skill damage alone. As long as you're at full armor, you're going to give them that boost. That boosts their skills up to that. Now, another thing is, we would normally be using a chem launcher, but I have a turret, and I will be showing a turret later on to show you how we get these boosts, okay? Now, another one is 15% from Perfectly Opportunistic. So, we're giving 25 plus 15, so that's 40 in gun damage alone. As soon as you shoot a target, that target instantly has 40% more damage on them. Now, Changas, this is where this weapon, the Scorpio, comes into big time play, because you can stack on them an extra 20. So now we give our players and their skills weapon and skill damage of an extra 60%. Extra 60%. That's basically an extra like glass cannon vigilance boost right there on one target on the Changas. You won't stack up most of your shotgun on anything else on the yellow, because by that time this 40% that you're going to give them is going to be way too much. Even just a regular yellow NPC or red, one shot from your build like this on a red, they're down in a split second. Changas will literally die in less than a second when you max this completely out. But the BTSU gloves on this build, I've asked a lot of people ask me, do not overcharge until you see Changas. If you are using BTSU gloves and you're overcharging players before the Changas come out, you're wasting it. So do not use this until that moment. But if you do, you're going to give them an extra 55%. So you're giving them 40 for the build, 70 from the Artificer Hive, and an overcharge for 15 seconds of an extra 55%, which is a grand total of... So you can get a total for your skills 185%. You can get up to 40 to 60 on weapon damage. You can't tell me that's not good. So we're going to demonstrate how this works for this. Now, to do so, I have to put on a different hive and show you what the initial damage is. We got 75k on just a regular, just yellow skill tier turret. That's no extra damages, no skill damages, no nothing. I took off my armor so I don't have my chest piece. I don't have anything extra boost. I got a booster hive on. So what we'll do is we'll throw on the Artificer to get the extra 71%. So there you go. It boosts it up 71%, turns it into 97. And it's that easy. So now I take a shot. I give it the extra 15. 112. As you see, this is where we start slowly boosting up stuff. So as you shoot, as you do things, you can boost players up. So we give our armor 25%. We're hitting for 140. We went from 78 to 140 now. We basically almost doubled our damage. So all I gotta do now is if I really, really want to stack up my turret, like actually stack it up, I can shoot this target, get it completely maxed out, target it. 168. We get it for 168. So now all I have to do to make this thing completely maxed is overcharge it, right? We have literally doubled our damage. And it's going to be a little tricky because my turret wants to be a little butthole, but we'll get it done. Let's kill this target and then stack a new one. Here we go. Shoot it on the lower spot. There it is. It's fully stacked. Okay. Drop a turret. Overcharge. Shoot. Get a hive on it. 204. Turret hits for 204. We started at what? 78 and we jumped it to 204. Basically almost tripled its damage. Tripled. Now, as for countdown, I'm going to show you a couple of builds, but I'm going to show you a trick that some people are not using properly in countdown. Besides actually running countdown properly, like actually finishing the missions, calling the rope at the last second, and other things. But we're going to get into some builds on this. Now, this one here is a new form of countdown, one that I have. This gives you companions, so that way you can always have damage being by friendlies or their skills, or even your own skill that you choose. You do not have to use companion. You can use vigilance. You can use whatever you prefer. I just found that this here works better because you're always going to be by a player. As well as, since we know focus is the strongest talent in the game, I try to make this one around this. Yes, you can slowly build it up without ever losing it because you can just keep on shooting. Now, most countdown builds you're ever going to see are around protection from elites. So the gloves and the knee pads like this are a must. Or a holster. You can put on the Fox's Prayer knee pads rather than doing this. But to get the extra skill haste you want out, you can easily throw on a Picaro's holster. Or if you don't want this, put in a Grupo holster, which will give you the damage. But the Coyote's mask actually helps give your teammates extra damage, depending on if you're close or if you're far away. They may need the extra crit chance. Maybe they don't. Maybe they need the critical hit damage. So I try to go and make this completely around helping a team-based group of guys out. Now, again, because everybody's going to be pulsing to find them, of course, the best thing you're going to have on here is going to be the Kingbreaker. Second is, because we're using focus, we got to use a high damage one, so let's just go for the max that we can, 35%. So we got the 35% 8 times headshot, or 8 times scope, and, or sorry, 12 times scope, and we've got the extra critical hit chance on here, but we have stability mods so that way we can actually beam targets. As you can see, if we hit anything, we're at 40 something percent. We have the most critical hit damage we can out of this, and I believe we can show you the protection from elites. So we lost the backpack from the crossbow, so we would be at 75% if we had an extra 13 on here, but we're not. We're at 64 because, again, we lost the crossbow, which the crossbow gives you an extra 10% protection from elites. So this here will avoid them from doing as much damage while you are standing there doing damage and just beaming their head as they stand still where someone else riot foams them. Now, to get the companion out and an extra boost, which a lot of people, like I said, aren't talking about, is drop an Artificer Hive at your feet. That stops the rogue agents from, or hunters as you would call them, from jammering you. you can actually avoid that because of the Technician Specialist. But as you can see, this is what kind of damage we're going to produce out, just as simple as it is. It's not a whole lot unless you get those extra boosts out there, but 1,000,000 a headshot is really nice. You cannot tell me it's not. 1,000,000 a headshot is really nice. Now the second version, this is my old trusty one. This one actually uses the Survivalist. This gives us an extra 10% protection from elites just because of that. And we also get outgoing healing, other things. And you see group members get an extra 10% bonus damage to targets that are status affected. Well, since we're using the Scorpio, our teammates are going to get that extra damage out. That gives them an extra 10% automatically. So we're not being stingy. We're working for our team. Another thing is, make sure you have what weapons you need to have on here, especially for Countdown selected, for whatever weapons you're using. Most of them are going to be ARs, shotguns, especially the Scorpio, but that's player's deal. Now, we're also going to give them the setup. The setup gives our teammates an extra 15%. So now we're literally giving our teammates, whoever fights with us, 25%. And because we can also put on this pulse with the mask, we can literally keep our damage for spotter if we choose to use that, and keep their damage going, especially if they're using flatline, without needing to use the laser pointer, because we can continuously pulse everything for them. Again, base your builds around your team. And again, if you don't need the Brazos holster for the skill haste, go throw on a Grupo. Seriously, the Grupo on this will literally make it so much stronger than the Brazos. But as you can see, we're at 74% protection from elites. Now the max is 80, so we can't push it any farther because we'd be wasting it, but we're at 74. One more 13% mod and we'd be at 75. So again, same kind of build, same kind of concept, protection from elites. Now we come to Heartbreaker. Now Heartbreaker works with the Ninja Bike backpack. Doesn't work extremely well because you lose out on damage or giving your teammates extra damage. So again, that's where it becomes player's choice. But it does allow, because you only have 3 pieces on, to still get the extra bonus armor out of it. Now you will not get 200%, you're only going to get 100%. So Ninja Bike can work with this build. Again, you're still going to get the most out of the chest piece, which gives you the most damage for the Heartbreaker. So again, this is where this can actually benefit you, but it is not the strongest. So if we want to, we can use the Picaro's holster, we could use the Foxes, we can use Petrov gloves, trade out maybe the Picaro's. We still want to keep the Foxes because that's the most multiplicative. So again, this is where it becomes player's choice. Do you want the Brazos holster, or you want the contractor gloves? That's where it becomes player's choice if you use the Ninja Bike backpack. And as you can see, we can still get our stacks to get our max damage, and we can still get the armor out. So this is one of the builds that actually benefits from the Ninja Bike. Not all of them do. So you can see, we can put on Heartbreaker gloves, go back to Picaro's holster, which gives us an extra skill tier, because again, it gives us the second piece for that. So now we've got 2 yellow cores. So it even increases your shield strength if you put that on. It increases your skills strength, the skills duration, all that, because you get an extra skill tier. So again, not a bad way to put it together. Still, not going to be your strongest damage. This whole thing will still not be the strongest damage you will get from a Heartbreaker. Now, again, this also becomes, if the player wants to use LMGs, ARs, because that's what it's mainly about. But we all know that a ACS-12 or a shotgun will give you the most damage. So what do you use? Well, we use a setup. Why? Because that gives me and my teammates 15% damage on whatever I shoot. So I'm not being stingy. I'm helping my team and myself to an extra 15% by doing it this way. But if I want the most damage, I would still keep the setup, backpack, drop the Foxes off, and put on the Coyote's mask. Because that, when I'm close and personal, is going to give me extra crit hit damage. Now, as you can see, we're still able to stack up our stacks because we got a 4th piece on. But our damage numbers actually went up. As you see right here, our damage numbers actually went up. just because of the backpack talent. Now, as you see, we're still getting pulsed. So, again, if I wanted the maximum amount of damage out of this, like I said a few moments ago, your best bet is going to keep the gloves, keep the holster on. But again, if you don't want to use it that way, you can easily put on the Carl's holster, contractor gloves, whatever you prefer. But you still want to keep the setup backpack for your shotgun if that's what your main weapon is going to be. But because you can also get blue armor, which covers you from things like vigilance, you can easily do that. What else was it? I think I have a blue core here. I can show you what it really would look like if you do like half and half. I think I got 3 blues on. If I do this, I gotta look at it again. But yeah, I think this is 3 blues. Oh yeah, because I put on the Picaro's holster, it has a blue core. Yep. And you see we still get pretty much the same amount of damage just because of the foxes, or the opportunistic, which is 15%, as well as the Picaro's holster was, what, 15% weapon damage. So we were literally hitting for the same just with the setup alone, and we give our teammates an extra 15 on that target. That's right, yeah. That's what I was going to show. Now, Negotiators. There's 2 good ways to set up a Negotiators. The question is, are you going to want to use it for PvP or PvE? Now, this setup right here works great for PvE, but if you want PvP, you're definitely going to go with Vigilance. The main reason why is because the backpack allows you to equal out that damage to each player and allows you to put on the Coyote's mask to give out your teammates the extra damage. Now, the Negotiator's chest piece, horrible. It's horrible. You're just trading between 3 to 5 extra players, so you lose out on a lot of damage. So being able to put the Coyotes on this build alone makes for better damage, period. Now, because of that, we also have a Cesca chest piece. The Cesca brings us up to 52%. Does that hurt the Coyotes? A little bit. Because if we're always hitting far away shots, we're always going to have too much crit chance and not enough critical hit damage. But I'll show you later on why the one-piece Cesca is actually better to have than anything else. Because again, you can drop some crit chance off and put on critical hit damage. Again, all my mods and everything on my Negotiators is actually critical hit damage. But you can see, we can hit a target from far away and get that extra crit chance. Now, once we hit it, every time we shoot, we're going to crit. Pretty much every single shot we shoot, we're going to crit. And you see that boomerang comes back so much easier. Now again, you don't have to use Focus. You can use Glass Cannon. You can use Obliterate. You can use whatever you want. But the Coyote's proc actually helps your team with this build. And that's pretty much the only way it should be run, because again, you also get some extra critical hit damage and you're giving even amount of target damage to each target you hit. And as you see, the first shot I shot automatically tagged. If you don't use the Cesca chest piece or any kind of Cesca on your build, for some reason Negotiators does not always tag. Doesn't always tag on certain ones. Does it always tag still? No. Even though you have a lot of crit chance, which is 47%, and again, I can put this up even higher, even though we got a lot of critical hit damage, it doesn't always tag, which is kind of an issue with the Negotiators. It's always been an issue. So having that one piece of Cesca in here, or whatever talent you prefer for even damage, just helps the build out even more. So for instance, I can go down here, put on a piece of Sokolov on my chest. I could put on the Sacrifice chest piece, anything like that. No matter what I do with this, because if I do it like a name brand like Sokolov or Badger Tough or Fenris, for some reason you crit so much less that you don't actually tag the target and you're not equaling out the damage. Even if you don't use the backpack. Say you don't use the Coyote's mask. Say you use Vigilance here and you use another piece of Negotiators. You will still never crit properly to equal out that damage. So what I can do is right here, I'll show you a few shots on multiple targets versus just one target on what happens with the Cesca, and I'm going to back off as far as I can before I can, there you go, activate my weapon. So that's as far as I can go, and we'll see how much we can get and if we can crit them. See, instant tag, not always. Second tag, yep. Second one, yep. And again, we've evened out 3 targets. When we take out 2, there's another one, tag, instant first shot. Second one, tag. First one, tag. And you see how much easier it is to actually tag those targets so we can equal out the damage and kill them a lot faster. One shot, one shot, one shot. Tagged them. And you see, second shot, maybe no, 3 shots. Again, that's where the Cesca comes in. You can actually even out your damage across those targets because you can tag them faster. Now, if we come over here and we do this, again, different version of Negotiators. Now we have the Cesca and we have a piece of Grupo. This also allows us with the Vigilance to get more damage out versus equaling the damage to each target. And that's where it becomes player's choice. Is that what you want to do? Because if you do it this way, you're not giving your teammates anything. Though you may be able to produce a lot of damage, you're not giving your teammates a lot of extra bonuses like the Coyote's Mask. So again, that's where it becomes player's choice. And you see, 1, 2, there's the third one. 1, 2. Let's get some more targets up here. Didn't even tag the first one. Didn't even tag it there. It's shooting it so many times. And you can see, sometimes it's this right here. This extra piece that one bit of Cesca can make, and sometimes it doesn't. It's so spotty. 1, you had 2 on the other one. So again, that's where it comes down to. Yeah, we're producing more damage, but at the same time, we're only doing 60% to this target that I tag, like this one right here. I shoot this target, he's only going to get 60% of whatever I shoot on the other one, because I'm not giving this, which is the Negotiator's backpack piece. There, I walked right by it. So if I do this build, again, I get extra crit chance and critical hit damage for my teammates, but the Negotiator's bag gives 100% to each target versus 60%. So that's where it becomes player's choice. So do you want to help your teammates out again, or do you want to just be stingy for yourself? Maybe you'll kill them a little bit faster because it has more vigilance, but if you get hit and you take damage, you lose your vigilance. So again, that's where the tactics part of the very beginning of this entire video should help you to keep that damage going. So take a look at that as well. It's at the very beginning of the video. Now on this one right here, I've actually split up the damage, got the same thing as before, but this time we've put on the Iraldi's chest piece. Now don't worry about the damage or anything, because again, yes, you might produce more damage with this right here because it's the Iraldi's. It gives you 10% more, of course. But as you notice, I'm shooting and I've shot that target 5 or 6 times and I didn't even tag him. Didn't. Look, no tags on any one of those that I shot. Even though the 2 tapped the reds, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth one, he's almost dead and I finally tag him. That is with the Iraldi's. That is where the Cesca comes into play. So again, make sure you have one piece of Cesca on your build. And even with the Coyote's Mask, and I'm shooting from far away to get as much crit chance as I can, it's still not tagging them. I've got 10% right now, which brings me up to, what is that, 52%? I can come all the way over here, shoot a target from far away with a max crit chance, and you'll see the difference. One tag, finally. So here we go. 1, 2. See, it's finally tagging properly. Finally. But again, the Cesca instantly one tags everything. So we've officially come to Aces and Eights, one of the Marksman Rifle builds. Now, does this one benefit from this? No. You can actually put on Vigilance and you'll get better damage, because if you're not landing headshots constantly, you're not going to have the damage. Now, as well as the Chain Killer. The Chain Killer will actually give you more damage at the very beginning of your bullets versus the Habsburg, or whatever you want to call it, type build. But the Habsburg is going to give you the more damage, period. On the Nemesis, on whatever sniper rifle you choose to use on aces and eights. This literally, these two piece alone gives you more headshot damage and the same amount of weapon damage as an Iraldi's and the Chain Killer, just not off the chest piece talent. Now, as for the weapons that you want to use, preferably that's your choice. You can use one with the new Determined, or you can use one like I'll show later on, which actually can benefit your team more than just you and you alone. So let's get some kills, and let's just go ahead and show some damage, because aces and eights is pretty simple. Just headshot damage everywhere, weapon handling if you want it on there, or critical hit damage, whichever you prefer, or crit chance. And you see we're just landing shots. It's still able to proc. So we're going to get a few more headshots. As you can see, we're just getting extra damage from the aces and eights, which actually makes it stronger. And if we shoot that chest shot, yeah, we still get the same. The exact same as we would with the Hotshot build because of Determined. But if we happen to lose it, another thing you got to remember is if you lose your chest piece talent or something like that, make sure to swap your chest piece. Now, for this, an extra bonus for this is putting on the Achilles Pulse. The Achilles Pulse helps out sniper rifles because you can target a specific spot like this and get extra damage to that. Now, with Determined, it also does increase its damage because you're doing damage to that specific target. The only bad part about the Achilles is you only have one spot right now. So if it happens to be a chest, a foot, an arm, a leg, a fucking pinky toe, you lose out if you don't hit that spot. Now, we can also show that you're going to get more initial bullet damage with this chest piece and the Iraldi's backpack on the initial part, but you're not going to have the more damage at the end. The end is probably, if I remember correctly, by what I saw earlier, it's like 5,000 less at the end when you max everything out, versus at the beginning you're going to have probably an extra couple 100,000 or maybe even 1,000,000 more, just because it's 25% technically more than the other one. It's 125 versus 150. So there you go. There's the damage of that when we get the Achilles Pulse. So again, there's your damages. But let's find how to get more Achilles Pulse. This is what is cool. Using it this way, same build, exactly the same, but trading out the talent and landing headshots, putting on Future Perfect, can actually help you and your team. Why? Because you can save a pulse like this for like a Changa or a boss, and then get more spots for him or your players to shoot at. And all you have to do is just get kills. So first, we would increase this by health on this, because that actually increases the zone's health, which gives you more damage rather than effect duration or anything like that on your build. And for here, I believe there may be a skill haste or something like that, but that's about it. Other than that, there's nothing much. So as we get kills, as you see, now I've got 2 hives, which means I've got 2 spots for Achilles. Oh look, I got 3 hives. That means I got 3 spots for Achilles. Oh, there we go, we're maxed out. So that's 4 hives, which means I got 4 players, that's including myself. I can now pick up 4 people. And look, I've got 1, 2, so I should have 4 spots if this target allowed for it. Now, we do lose damage because of this, not having anything like opportunistic or anything, you know, to get more damage out. But because we can't get more damage out, we can actually get more spots, which gives our teammates more damage. Now, it's not, like I said, opportunistic where you can get more damage, but like here we have 1 spot that we can shoot, which actually allows our teammates to do more damage. So again, does the cooldown affect it? Someone asked me. Well, it's at 24, so let's let this thing cool down. Number of zones 2, we're at tier 3 right now. Number of zones went down to 1, so yeah, 36 versus 28. So the hive, let's get some more kills and check the hive, because we're at 163. Let's get, what, 4 kills? Just in case. 163. No, it does not affect the hive. So that's important to remember. Your hive cooldown will still be the same no matter how many kills you get, but you do get more armor. As you see, we're at 65 and then it drops down to 35. So you can actually give your teammates still a bonus, and bonus here. Now, before we get into anything, we got to talk about talents. This new talent has allowed for unstoppable force. It also allows for concussion to work, which is determined when you have it on your sniper rifle. So having ones like this with the perfect determine, especially having critical hit damage, allows you to get more damage for that weapon, which is the Relic. Now, you do not need to turn these into raid cores if you do not want to do raid cores, but this also gets rid of vigilance, where if you take damage you lose it, versus having, say, unstoppable force or concussion like this one here. You can actually get some more damage out, but you don't need the vigilance anymore. So what am I talking about? Well, I've got critical hit damage right here on my Douglas and Harding mask. I have no other critical hit chance or critical hit damage on here. It's all headshot damage or headshot damage or weapon handling. Just my mask. So watch this. I'm going to get a kill, get one more just to get my headhunters maxed out, you know, and then shoot the target. 8.23. 8.23. You see that? Okay. So we came back, we re-rolled the one piece off my mask. I have weapon handling. That is it. There is nothing else on here. No extra spots. No nothing. We just have the Relic. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that again. We're going to get a kill, stack up some damage, get our headhunter going, and then we'll shoot that yellow. 8176. That's the difference between the perfect determined and regular determined. Perfect determined allows it for a crit, so putting critical hit damage into your build allows you to get more damage on top of your headshot damage. Now, does that work for the White Death or any other sniper rifle? Well, I can do this all day long, that's for sure. Is that broken? No, it's actually part of the Specialist. The Specialist allows you to acquire those targets, aim faster, steady your weapon a little bit more. It just doesn't allow you to do it when you're out of cover. If I'm out of cover and standing out in the open, the bullet's going to go all over the place, up to a thing about 12 meters away. 15 meters, I ain't hitting shit. But, like I said, the biggest question is this. The White Death, because it just has regular guaranteed headshot damage on this build versus this, which these two are pretty much the same. It just gives you the guaranteed headshot. One's just a critical headshot, as we showed earlier, versus a regular headshot. Does the White Death matter with the critical hit damage? Well, we'll put that to the test right here. Again, critical hit damage on my mask, nowhere else, nothing else special. You can see headshot damage, everything, just the mask has critical hit damage. So let's test out the White Death. Let's see what numbers we can get, and we'll test it. Kill, kill, kill. The damage max, let's put this up to a name just in case. There we go. There's the damage numbers right there on this piece for you. So here we go again. I got the White Death. Trade to weapon handling. Again, I have nothing else anywhere else. If you find critical hit damage, please let me know. There you go. We're going to try it with the White Death now. Just the extra weapon handling. And again, we're testing to show the critical hit chance. If this works versus the regular one, which should just give headshot damage. So, again, just there you go. Bing. Bing. Pew. And let's increase this. We got time. Sometimes I forget to do this in the shooting range. And boom, there's the damage numbers. So let's see what we got. So basically, in short, First Blood is similar to Determined. It's just kind of backwards. Basically, if you're scoped and you get all that extra damage, say from like Focus, your first shot from combat or after fully reloading would give you that damage on any part of their body. Same with Determined. This is just where you got to get a kill with Determined to land the body shot afterwards. It's just a flip-flop. No extra damage, nothing like that. So these two are basically just reverse of each other. The only bonus that you get from Determined is you can keep it going. Now Naked, this one also gives you headshot damage as long as you shoot like a red first. And then you take all their armor off. So some of these talents that we've always been complaining about, well, this here is trash because especially where you got to land body shots to stack headshot damage and then kill the target with a headshot, that was just, it didn't really work out too well. And again, some of these even have perfect ones, which still does not work perfectly. So the devs didn't give us something that gives us more damage. They just basically gave us, First Blood, just in reverse in a name called Determined. So this is not OP, this is not something new. This is literally just First Blood in reverse. That's all you can look at it is. Seriously, that's basically it. It's First Blood in reverse. Now, after explaining all of that, we've actually come to the Hotshot build. It is literally identical of an Aces and Eights build if you want the damage. The only bonus with Hotshot is you can put on Concussion versus, say, putting on Vigilance. And not having to worry about the Iraldis and having to worry about, like, the Chain Killer. But again, Chain Killer compared to this chest piece, again, you're going to have more damage off the rip than you will at the very end. The very end, the Hazpro guard will win for the max amount of damage. The Chain Killer just gives you more at the beginning cycle of your damage. But again, that's also making sure you land your headshot first. Plus, on top of that, if anybody remembers pre-TU7, how you used to be able to spam the SVD, you can do that with this. You can literally just shoot, you know, right there at the gut or wherever on their feet and just kill them. Now that's just one shot after one piece of Headhunter. So we'll put on this right here after we've got one shot and we'll show you the damage numbers difference. Because again, that's what matters, right? At least getting the one shot, which is the initial, was it the 150? So that was the first bit of damage with the Habsburg. Or Habsburg. Sorry, my bad. Now we put on the Chain Killer. So we're going to reset the targets. We got one kill and then one shot. And that was the damage earlier. So let's show you the damage now. There's one shot, one kill. Boom. 17. We went from what, 14 to 17? Yeah. Chain Killer and Iraldi's wins on the beginning part of the damage. That's proof right here. So now that we've established that the Iraldi's and the Chain Killer is the strongest at the beginning bit of damage, again, just set up like that. What we'll do is we will actually max out and show you the difference between the two that we have right here and show you what they actually max out. So there's the damage right there. And you see we'll get an extra shot so you can show the damage numbers. And we'll switch this back right here in this video. And then we'll show the damage numbers of the Habsburg two-piece and show you the end result damage numbers. So you can actually see for yourself which one would you rather prefer. Initial bullet damage doing more or being able to do way more damage, especially later on, because if all you gotta do is just hip fire kill while you're in cover, which one would you rather prefer? So get a few kills, damage it again, and you see there's the damage numbers. Now I've seen a few of these videos out here where they're literally using the Dread Edict, okay? They're literally using this weapon to make it look great on the Hotshot. This is honestly probably the worst one to use with the Hotshot. The reason why, though you can spam and do this kind of damage and keep it going, even if you have Vigilance or whatever you prefer, Iraldi's, Chain Killer, blah, two-piece Habsburg, that doesn't matter. What matters is this right here. It's constantly reloading when you get a kill. That's part of the Hotshot build. So because it does this, you never get that bonus armor. Don't get me wrong. Can you spam this weapon and get damage and spam and get headshot kills? Yes. Is that fun? Yes. But you're missing out on that bonus armor. Same with the Mantis. Even if I come over here with a Mantis, I can nail this shot at 5 meters all day long. Is it going to be just like Determined? No. It will not be like Determined. But, again, this is where it becomes player's choice. I've got a green dot on my screen, so if wherever I aim, that's where it's going to hit. But you see, I miss a few shots, even at 5 meters. Being able to hit that headshot kill on a gut or a kneecap basically turns the White Death into stronger than the Mantis. So, the Mantis versus the White Death, definitely not. Now, another piece of trash sniper rifle, which is this. I can't believe they messed this one up. This one here needs a complete and utter rework. When they rework this, again, I will be coming and just showing y'all some parts about some builds maybe. But again, as you can see, I'm aimed at them, didn't even tag them, but look at this. I have to wait 2 seconds to tag one target. I have to wait 2 seconds to tag a target. What good is that? Again, it's not that strong. Hopefully they fix it later. We don't know. They're talking about it, but again, if they do, this is still going to be in the Codex because we got to show that this is the types of things we have to deal with. So, yeah. Now we come to System Corruption. Now this one actually did get a boost. Now this build is still only for PvP. I would not recommend System Corruption for anything else. But how did this build get a boost? Well, we can now put on a Ninja Bike Messenger bag and actually get an extra skill tier, and put on like the Picaro's holster, get an extra skill tier, and the Technician, so that way we can drop a hive and drop a decoy so we can hide more and stay pulse resistant because we still have a 3-piece on. This still allows a player to even get whatever damage they prefer out of their build and be pulse resistant. So this one technically did get a boost. Now you will still not get the max amount of damage out unless you're using the System Corruption backpack, Bloodsucker, or Memento type backpack. The reason why is because you get bonus armor. As you get blue bonus armor, you get more damage. Now again, for me, this is still messing up with the Ninja Bike backpack ever so often, so I cannot show all these types of stats to you, so I'm just going to go over the build. I have an extra piece of Y'all gear, so I have a little bit more hazard protection, plus I get 5% weapon damage out of it because it gives me that from using the Ninja Bike, as well as skill haste and an extra skill tier. So again, we can drop a decoy like this in the Hive, the Artificer, and all the players are going to pick up is just those 2 items. They will never pick you up. You can actually fight from afar. So if you want to turn this into a spotter build on your chest rather than unbreakable, by all means, go do so. Then you can put on a Kingbreaker, still get some weapon damage out, get some critical hit chance or critical hit damage. The strongest weapon with this is still going to be the Lady of Death, for one reason, because you get the crit chance out that you're not going to get out of your other piece of build. But you can see we can pop a med kit and get more damage out. Is it a very strong build? No. This build and this gear set does need more strength or fixing of the blue bonus armor somehow by the devs. Now, Hunter's Fury has always been an interesting setup. Now, I had this one the moment I got the Ninja Bike backpack after working on the one video, but I went through and took a look at some of the numbers. Now, you can change 2 things to this. Put the crossbow on or the firewall. Now the crossbow is going to give your team an extra 10% damage to status affected enemies, plus give you a decent med pack. This one will give you a better med pack, and as you're closer, since Hunter's Fury requires you to get closer, also will give you more damage and give your team 10% more damage as you're closer to targets. That's how Hunters is supposed to work. So putting Striker Shield with this and the Firewall Technician is the strongest choice. The only downside is you get extra health on kill that gets wasted. So With this gives you literally the feel of hunters without the memento backpack of the armor regen, the extra weapon damage, and everything. So basically it's the same. Close and personal is probably your best damage piece on this. Once you get a kill and you debuff them, you get them staggered where they don't shoot, and you get that. So with the firewall, this also, with this many blue cores, gives us 6-tier shield to boost up our damage to an extra 13% as aimed. Now basically all you have to do is get a kill, period, with this build from about right here, say 5 meters, 10 meters away, and you'll start stacking up damage with the hunters. Now Obliterate makes this beautiful because you don't have to worry about it with the Ninja Bike. You can just get the extra damage out. That's 25% damage. Then you can put on the Overlord knee pads and get the multiplicatives out. As I've always said, Foxes is the best thing to put onto a build if you're just going to run a 2-piece. So as you can see, we're boosting up our damages, period, every single time we get a kill with the hunters. So once we get 5 kills, we'll be maxed out. And there we go. Let's shoot it a little bit more. 673, 417. Now there is a bug. If you see this, the numbers do not go up, but the target is within the range. As you can see, it's right there. So I cannot show the damage boost of the 13% in the firing range. We have to go outside and do a little bit of killing. So here we go. We got a mission. You can see the Ninja Bike's on my backpack. Same color setup as I have on the build, so it's going to be there. And trust me, this is Hunters. You'll see it. There's the proc down there. 3-piece. So here we go. We'll get some kills. You can see we're already up. Here we go. Almost there. One more kill. Come on, give me my kill. 724. Y'all seeing this? 724. As soon as they get within range, and then a headshot is like 1,000,000. Headshot's 1,000,000. On the gut, it's 780. That's how you get more damage out. And because you're closer, your teammates will actually be able to get 10% from that. That also gives you the best med pack. Again, the only downside to running Firewall is you're wasting the health on kill with Hunter's Fury. That is the only downside. Plus, if they do crack your armor, guess what? You set them on fire. Then they can't shoot back. Now again, another way, if you don't want to waste it, this also gives you protection from elites, and using the crossbow, also going to give you a decent med pack and give your teams, because as soon as you status affect them by killing them nearby, guess what? There you go. You give them extra 10%. But the Cesca with Intimidate, like I show on the chest piece, this is where you need it for the shotgun. If you're going to run a shotgun, you got to have the Cesca. Now, you don't have to run Intimidate. Again, you can run Obliterate or something else that does damage on your chest if you want to run the Ninja Bike version. But if you're going to do a shotgun, your best thing to do is do a Cesca. That way you crit. That way all those pellets from your shotgun will crit. But the memento is still going to out DPS. No matter what you do, it's going to out DPS the Ninja Bike version. Now, why? It's very simple. You get 30% more weapon damage, armor regen, skill efficiency, and because of that, the blue tags can give you Intimidate, which means you're going to get way more damage, period, no matter what you do. So the Hunter's Fury will still be best like this. Now, again, you can trade it to Firewall if you choose, as a player chooses. That way you can get more damage out from your Striker Shield. So, that's where it becomes player's choice. So let me go throw that on. We'll show the damage. So here we go. Now, we have Intimidate on our chest piece for 2 reasons. Because, again, we're trying to show the max amount of damage. We're trying to show you how to get the best damage out of your build. So again, we can put on these damage mods. Rather than shield health, we can put on damage mods. Get 13% out. So let's go down here. Let's go kill some targets. And there we go. Starting to build up. Sir, come here. Give me my tags. 1 mil to the head already. 809. 947. 8-9, like we're already out DPSing, period, no matter what we do with this. Again, Intimidate. It's great to run on this because you can get them, debuff them, and kill them so fast. You're going to get these tags and just keep yourself going just the whole time. And again, when you kill them like that, they get status affected where you can easily come back over here. Look at that. I'd lost my tags, was able to get it back. Yeah, you might lose it if you're getting shot in the back a lot, but if you can keep your tags going, it's so much better. Now let me show you a shotgun. Now here we go with the KSG-12. Now why the KSG-12? Is because it's got 12 rounds. That way, even if you miss out, and you can see my memento is not even maxed out right now, but the KSG-12 literally will walk around and 2-tap things once you get your memento maxed out. All you have to do is get your Intimidate memento maxed out, and look at this. It's just 2-tap central. Yellow, 2-tap. I'm not even maxed out right now. Red, 1-tap. Yellow, 2-tap. 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 Just that easy. It's literally that easy. Enjoy, hunters. Now, Foundry Bulwark. This one cannot be shown in the shooting range. This one literally has to be explained out here. As you can see, I'm right by the jammer poles. It is right behind me. As you can see, I'm not losing my shield. Foundry Bulwark is about the Bulwark shield. It is not about anything else. The only other build I've been able to test this with and show that Foundry actually helps is a 2-piece Foundry, and putting that on to get the max total armor, so that way the Dr. Home can actually help heal your team. Because the more total armor you have, it basically just, it gives that Foundry Bulwark piece to your teammates of the total armor. So the 15% is that. Now, I'm going to come right over here, show you again. This thing cannot shut off my shield. Why? Because I've got hazard protection on everything. Now, keeping your hazard protection at max for disrupt is key. Go for 100%. Put hazard protection everywhere. You'll get 10% from your watch, so that'll give you 70. And then put in the mods. The mods literally allow you. And as you can see, I'm taking tons of damage. As soon as they start to shoot my shield, my regen kicks in even stronger. So getting your shield and keeping your shield, as you can see right there, that's the key to Foundry. This build is great for raids and great for legendary to keep your team alive. Use the Gilligard chest piece and a Bellstone backpack, and there you go. That simple. Now, another way I've found to get Foundry Bulwark out, which actually does work, but you're still going to miss out on helping your team. But if you want to get more damage out of your Foundry, you would go with this. Now, you would not go with, again, the Douglas and Harding mask, the perfect one, but you'd have to have a piece of Y'all gear at this point. Now, this will give you 6 tiers. This build will still give you the exact same as the other one. 6 tiers on your shield. You're just going to be a little bit more squishy on your player. But you can go with the armor regen, hazard protection, armor regen, hazard protection, and still give them the Vanguard. So this will give you, when I would max this out, is 100% to disrupt, so your shield would never go away. You'll be at 70% for all other types of status. But now, because you have the Douglas and Harding and you have that, you can get more damage out. Now, if you want to get rid of the armor regen effect that's on here because you think your shield is strong enough, as well as the build alone, you could do that, and you don't have to put on the Bellstone. Now, you could easily just put on Bellstone wherever you wanted to get the extra armor regen, but it's going to give you armor on kill, which is wasted. So, again, you can say screw it to that. So, even on these pieces, like right here where I have armor regen, you could put headshot damage. Go to the Douglas and Harding. Go get the perfect mask. Get rid of that armor regen. Put headshot damage. So, while you hit those headshots, you do more damage. That's where the player's choice part comes into. Now, does the Ninja Bite give you that same feel? Yeah, it's still going to give you that piece. But look, because you have the Douglas and Harding and the Y'all, you get 5% more weapon damage. You also can get the headshot damage out, and you get the pistol damage. And I still got a red core on my holster, So as you see, we can get even more damage out of this build this way. The only fault that you have, again, because it's like this and the stability, is you just don't get the backpack effect, which while you take damage, you're giving your teammates more armor all the time. What am I talking about with that? This is what I'm talking about. Protector. This is where you can always give your teammates extra bonus armor every 3 seconds. Now, yeah, it's not a whole lot compared to what the Ninja Bite gives because you can get more damage out. But again, that is where this one comes in. So will this be a new Foundry one? That's on you to decide. But again, that backpack with Protector can really help out in legendaries as well as other things more than all that. But again, you still have the Regen effect from the Foundry. So this is where Ninja Bite can come into handy. This is actually one build where it could actually boost. Oh, Striker. Now, again, Dark Winter, it's decent on here. Is this the best weapon? No, but it can actually be good because any kind of weapon with high RPM helps the chest piece out. Now, it doesn't always help it out the best. It really doesn't. The only weapon that really helps it out is an ACS-12. Why? Is because we can use this to get our stacks to max before we swap out a weapon. Now, again, I have the Memento backpack on, so let me just show you some damages first. Because I want to explain this. Striker has always been Memento, putting on the chest piece, getting 4-piece out, and then doing the Overlord defense. So I don't really have to go into this too much. And I do have a Ninja Bite build later on, but as you can see, we're just glassing everything. But as you see, look at my Striker pieces. I cannot get the max stack because I'm killing them too fast. That's the problem with Striker. You will never get the max amount of damage out of your build without using the shotgun. As you see, I swapped to my shotgun. I start just going to max damage way too quick. Is that a bad thing? No. But with the submachine gun, even with that high RPM, I couldn't get it to stack. You cannot get Strikers to stack with anything other than the ACS-12 really fast. So, that's where this comes into play, is the ACS-12. It's basically a must. Now, I have mine with close and personal with it because once I get that kill with it and I'm stacking that damage so fast, yeah, this thing it destroys NPCs. So, again, the ACS-12 and say a Dark Winter or something of that with a high RPM, that's your better pieces to go with. Now, if you want to use an AR, by all means, go use an AR. Dark Winter is just going to give you that extra critical hit damage while after you get that one kill, and that's literally all you need. One kill, and this thing just keeps doing damage and continues and continues. So, those two weapons, honestly, are the best on the build. Everything else, critical hit damage everywhere you can. Striker's chest piece, again, that's going to give you the best gamble, and so on. So let's get to the Ninja Bike one. So before we do that, what I want to do is, I just want to show you one more time, again, before we do anything, the Memento. Now, the reason why I say this is because you get the armor regen. You're doing so much damage that you don't have time to really stop and heal up. So putting on the armor regen is better. Now, the contractors and all that with especially the Ninja Bite, not so good. Go ahead and throw on a piece of Brazos, leave the Foxes on there, and then once you have those two, literally that's all you're going to need, because that extra weapon damage is going to be better, and plus with the Ninja Bite, you're going to get those extra skill tiers. But again, this is what I'm talking about. I can stack the damage. If you didn't see it in the video, we can do it here in the shooting range. The shooting range is easier to see. We can stack up this damage a lot faster. Way faster with an ACS-12. Now, while I've got this on to demonstrate how it goes away, we'll just take the chest piece off, go to some other chest piece, come back to it, and you're going to see the stacks are gone. So, watch how hard it is to get your stacks. I've literally landed 45 bullets on the chest. 2 times. 3 times. We'll say 4 times right there. There's 5 times. Again, I'm doing so much damage that I'm not actually getting to stack on a named one. And there we go. We're finally, after what, about 6 or 7 mags, we're finally at max stack versus, say, 1 whole magazine of the ACS-12, and we've instantly got it. We've instantly got the damage. So that's what you do. Stack up with your ACS 12, swap to whatever weapon you want to use. That's where you get it from. So now let's go to the Ninja Bike. So here we go. Ninja Bike right here. Is this stronger than the other one? No, it is not stronger than the other one. One, again, you lose the armor regen. Okay? Is this good to get damage without having to worry about your armor regen? Most certainly. This is the same thing as running the Memento, but now you're just trading weapon damage, armor regen, and skill efficiency. So is that good for your build? No, it never is. Loss in damage, loss in survivability, loss in skill efficiency, not that great. But if you want to run it this way, this is the best way to run it. So, again, we have the two same weapons. Try to stack it out. Should we? Should we not? Let's just bring the target close real quick. And again, same thing. We cannot get those stacks to stack, no matter what we do. Even with that extra damage, you're never going to get the stack. So you want to use the ACS 12 to get your stacks out. Once you get a kill with that, you can either stay on the ACS 12 or go to whatever weapon you prefer. But again, that's what you want to do. So what are we hitting for our max on this? Let's see. We're at max stacks. Yeah, it's all like 557. No, 671. 673. So again, this is another way to get it out if you want to use this. Same thing like I was saying with the Heartbreakers and some of those other builds. The chest piece one, when you use it like that, you can put on the Picaros and that. If you want to use a Hunter's Fury, use a chest piece because chest piece is crap, and go ahead and put on Foxes. That way you can get the damage out. But this 2 setup right here is if you're using a chest piece. If you use like Strikers or Heartbreakers, definitely throw those 2 on, get your damage out the best way. Now, Rigor is a very simple build. Very simple. Go for a piece of China Light glass cannon. Go for the waveform. And you get the damage out. But this is all it's about. It's being able to throw traps and be able to throw out a mortar and just keeping going. This is a cheap man's mortar build. Nothing more. Other than that, if you just don't want to put together a mortar build like I have in the beginning of this video, seriously, just go make this. It'll make you feel just as home. And you don't even have to use glass cannon. You can actually use the Rigor chest piece. But again, the glass cannon allows your weapon to do more damage. And the waveform just allows a little bit more skill damage out from your traps, from your mortar. So go ahead and put that on. Other than that, you can put in duration mods on this so they last longer, especially the traps. Put duration mods on so the traps last longer on the ground. You don't need the skill ice because literally you can throw them, delete them, and you'll get them right back, right there. It's that easy. Just keep throwing them out and throwing them out. But don't forget, traps are now broken in PvP, so they're no longer usable. So again, this is just for PvE. Umbra Initiative, or Umbrain as I like to call it. This is very easy to make. Very easy build. The bonuses are being able to do damage when you come out of cover and getting regen while you are in cover. So basically like kind of similar to an old school Berserk clutch. It's just you're not taking in any incoming damage. Now, there is a few ways to run this. One with the Ninja Bike like this. And basically it's the same thing, same kind of concept as a Hunters with Ninja Bike. But again, that's player's choice. Now, the best thing is having a high RPM type weapon on here. So the Dark Winter actually works good because you actually get a little bit more critical hit damage out. But the Umbra basically is going to give you all those extra stacks and damage as soon as you come out of cover. So, again, that's if you want to run a Ninja Bike version of this. Now, the strongest version will still be the Memento one on your backpack. For one reason and one reason only. You get that extra weapon damage, you get the regen while you're out of cover. That way it gives you more survivability. So, if you want to, and I don't have it on this character, I don't know what happened to it, you'd put the Umbra knee pads on and the Memento backpack, basically making it look just like this. Now, Obliterate is your better chest piece to have on this and whatever weapon you prefer. So say you want to use ARs, put a Fenris there, by all means. If you don't want that, but again, you have critical hit chance. So if you want to use AR, go to a FAMAS, go to a Police M4, get something with a high RPM, put it on there. You want an LMG, same thing, do it that way. Now, again, we'll demonstrate right here in the firing range. Basically, I found it. I don't know where the hell it went to originally, but we got it. Now, I'm not going to show it with all the tags and everything. We'll just show it this time without having to show the tags, because we already know what Memento does after all this time. So, you can see we're hitting for 407 minus 30% from the Memento, but we're able to jump out of cover and get that kill very quick. 45 bullets. That elite is gone. Now imagine that with the Memento backpack. You're going to get even more damage. And then while you're also out of cover versus having to be in cover, you get the regen effect. Now, again, Obliterate on this build right here, this specific type of build, just makes it a lot more devastating. So again, get your Memento, get your tags. You'll have a lot better time, because now, again, you have damage while in cover, regen while in cover, you have damage while out of cover, and regen while out of cover. You have best of both worlds all in one. And again, Obliterate, best talent for this. But again, if you don't want Sokolov, you want to do ARs, by all means, go do ARs. Ongoing Directive, great build. Now, there are multiple ways to run this. You can put on status, and actually it does give, by the numbers, more damage. But like I said, I always want you to have the best PvP, PvE, raid, whatever build. The best one you're ever going to get for all of those together is going to be critical hit damage on every single piece, going with the submachine gun with Sadist, and just basically go to town. I want y'all to watch this. All these NPCs, everybody's got bleed bullets, right? Thank you. Bleed them suckers. Yeah! Look at that regen. That's what it's about. Being able to face tank all the enemies and not have to worry about a thing. That's what it's about. How to accomplish this, even in PvP, is we put on the firewall. Why? Because we are closest to the targets to bleed them. This gives our teammates an extra 10%, like I said. This can also allow you to put on the Striker Shield if you wanted to get more damage out. But the med pack will also keep you alive, especially in dire needs. This is where basically this build comes in clutch, because most players will be running with a healer with a crossbow. You put on the firewall to give your team that extra bit of damage, and while someone's using the crossbow, they're giving you 10% in return as a favor for the status effect that you're giving other players. So that's where you do a trade-off with your teammates. Now, the two best weapons on this is a GR9, because you cannot pass up 200 rounds of Sadist. Not only that, but this gun right here actually beats the Carnage in damage. But hey, don't want to believe me? That's fine. Go ahead, go take a look. I've got other stuff on this. Now, backpack, of course, gotta be a Gruppo with Wicked. Why? Because we want to get that extra damage out. Now, you can easily go to a piece of Sokolov and do Wicked, but the Gruppo actually is going to help out not just your SMG, but your LMG. So go ahead and get you a Gruppo backpack. That way you've got all the damage from any weapon you choose to use. Ongoing Directive, again, critical hit damage everywhere. Just, it's that easy. Put critical hit damage everywhere, critical hit damage mods in, and just go to town. But the cool part about Ongoing Directive is it gives your teammates and you an extra 20% on the bleed that you hit for those enemies just by marking them. And then when anybody gets that kill, boom, everybody gets those bleed bullets. Now, they'll get half a magazine, your magazines will be full. And the other cool part to this, a lot of people don't realize, is those bullets do not count against your bullets in your inventory. So say you have 1,000 bullets, you get that extra 50, doesn't count against you. So go ahead, go make this. You're gonna have a blast, guaranteed. And now we go to the damage. Let's show some damage, shall we? 341. Now we got the extra bleed bullets. 409. Now again, this is with a SIG MPX. If you choose or want to use a vector, by all means, go use your vector. You want to use another one, say UMP 45. Go get you a UMP 45 all day long. I'm not going to tell you can't run it. All I'm saying is best thing, put on an SMG. Get the extra crit chance out, get the critical hit damage, put damage targets out of cover. And just literally go make this. You're going to need this, especially if you want to do some PvP type stuff and you want to do these other builds later on. Now, True Patriot. A lot of people have been asking, can you make True Patriot with the Ninja Bite? Yes, technically you can. You can do whatever you want with the True Patriot. But this is still not going to be the best damage, no matter what you do with True Patriot. Ninja Bite will not be your best damage. Now, if you want to run it like this, this is my best suggestion. Foxes. Every time you put Ninja Bikes on, you need to be putting on the Foxes. Period. Now, the chest piece talent, go as you please. Period. I do Overwatch because True Patriot is about team buffs. Buffing your team to the max. So I can do that with Overwatch. Now, again, once everything is fully flagged, you're going to give your team 8% damage, 8% debuff to them, and 2% regen. So, again, this is about team stuff. The whole game is about team-based stuff. So, we have critical hit chance at 32. That's decent, and we got a lot of critical hit damage. Now, what can this do like this? Well, let's go ahead and get some Overwatch and show you that you can basically get the exact same, but this is still going to be losing damage. We basically, what, 4-tapped them, a purple. Okay, let's take it to an elite. Let's see what we can do against an elite. Hello, sir, how you doing? You ready for this? That's 3, 4. I'd say about 6, maybe 5. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, just about 5. I'd say 5. So what this basically does is it also gives you an extra armor core for that, so when they explode they do more damage. But like I said, this is not the strongest. This is the strongest. Why? Because you give your teammates everything and you lose nothing. Now, you can trade your chest piece out for tardigrade. Believe me, that even helps your teammates, so that gives them survivability. But this right here, as you can see, we're hitting for 430 already. We basically had 9 rounds. We 4-tapped him. We 4-tapped a yellow. 4. And then the status would have killed him. So literally, we're 4-tapping yellows with this build right here. And our teammates, when you shoot them, they're going to get these extra buffs. Again, you're giving them 12% for here on the chest piece. And if you want to give them tardigrade, you can give them tardigrade. The backpack is going to give them 15%. When they're status affected with the crossbow, you're going to give them an extra 10%. And then at the same time, if you happen to stack them with a full 8 shots, you're giving 20 extra percent. I mean, there's 25 plus 8 plus 20 on the other part and the 12 on the chest piece. If you want to run it that way, that's a lot of buffs. It's basically kind of like a future initiative build, just with damage. So there you go. Now we've got John Cena 2.0. You can't see me. Anyway, this one here actually does give us more buffs than the previous one. Why? Because now we can actually get some more weapon damage out. We can actually put on a Fenris and go to more of a pulse type deal where we can spot them. It's going to give us extra skill tiers. It gives us a free piece of yaw gear, so that way we can get the pulse resistance out of it. Basically, we got a bigger buff now. We're doing more damage. Even though we've lost the vigilance proc on the backpack or even the mementos, because we don't want to build up the stacks in the dark zone. So this became John Cena 2.0. Now again, mementos will still give us more damage, but in the long run, we don't have to sit there and wait to get tags anymore. Now, you can even go for focus or glass cannon, player's choice, whatever you want to do. Again, this is for the dark zone. This is going to be for PvP. Don't try to use this in the PvE. I can't stress that enough. But again, we got foxes, so that we got the extra multiplicatives. With the skill tiers, we're able to get this out. You can put the laser pointer on to get the damage out from for flatline. Great setup. Completely great setup. And then again, we got the extra piece of Fenris to boost up our weapon damage. And the second piece of yaw gear even gives us more weapon damage. Now, you can use a capacitor with this because you got the extra yellow tiers on here, and that would give your capacitor more damage. But the UMP is just great for a backup. You cannot beat this in the dark. It's basically the king breaker in the dark zone with the crit chance that you're missing from your build. Seriously. And you see 452. Once we got to the health, it was like 500 something. 547. So that was still, even in the dark zone, that will glass a player. And you see 679. 679. And look at how close that bullet grouping is with that. That is insane. You can't beat that. Now again, if you don't want to run glass cannon, run as you prefer. Run whatever chest piece style you prefer. If you want to do unbreakable, please go do unbreakable. Okay? Just the setup the way it is like this, honestly the best. So, everybody really wants to know if the Habsburg or whatever chest piece is stronger than this one, the Chain Killer. Well, I'm going to put this in the video and we're going to show it for later. Because, of course, with the other ones, it was shooting way higher. So, for your one-shot builds, it is for 15,289. That's after, what, 2 kills and then shot? So, we'll do this. Walker chest piece. Chain Killer. 2 shots. Headshot damage. This is all we need to stack up the Headhunter. 2 shots. See, it's fully maxed. Boom. Oh, well, this will be a third one. But anyway, that's what it is maxed. So we beat it just by 200k. So again, we've got all this stuff going. So here we go. We're going to show the absolute max. We're going to get a lot of headshots and just basically kind of tap. There's the damage numbers for that. That's the Walker chest piece. We're going to go to the Habsburg. We're going to do the same. Headshot damage. What we're going to do is we're going to get the max amount of headshots and then tap them again and see if it changes. Habsburg. I cannot pronounce that damn thing. Will you stop? Die. So this is with, again, the max. That's the pistol, okay? The Dodge City Gunslinger holster pistol. Maxing it out, okay? This is what we mean by maxing it out. As soon as I maxed it out, I took my shot. Here we go again. Boom. Shot. There's the damage. Yeah, I dubbed this build the ex-wife because it is a blood-sucking bitch and she loves to give herself away to other people. She takes from others and gives it to other people even afterwards. It's so horrible. So here it is, the ex-wife. I swear to God. Like I said, if I can find a build or anything, I can make it stronger, I'm going to. Now, don't mind that one weapon. It's about the Dr. Home. I'm sorry. She makes me cry. Anyway, yeah, Dr. Home. System corruption. We have one piece on here for armor on kill. Critical hit damage. Now, we also have a piece of Bellstone here. You do not have to use this. If you want more damage, use the pristine example chest piece. But if you want to use this, this is fine. You also have a piece of Uzina Zetka. This here is going to give you total armor and armor on kill. Then we put on the death grips, the 511 gloves. Even though this gives us health and incoming repairs, this actually gives us more armor on kill. This will actually boost you up to about 68% total. Now, here you can use the foxes because we're using a rifle. But the Ninja Bike backpack is what gives us the entire thing. Now, these armor on kill mods, they only give you 2% extra. So you can actually drop those off if you don't want to and put some crit chance into your build if you wanted to. That basically, because you're trading something like this right here, which would be like what was it, the adrenaline rush or a bloodsucker for your backpack, and getting that second core, this here is actually fairly decent. Now, again, this is not the best way to set this up, but it's just another way. Like I said, I'm going to give you multiple options of a build if I can give you multiple options. So, again, we have a lot of crit chance and a lot of crit hit damage. So, with this build, let me demonstrate what it can do, because again, we also got an extra 10% from the minigunner. Now, if you want to drop this minigunner off, drop yourself 10%. That's actually fine, because then you can put on the sniper rifle, get some more headshot damage, give your teammates more headshot damage. You can put on the firewall if you wanted to get some health on kill, you know, boost it that way. But the Dr. Home actually now gives your teammates 10% kill from just killing an enemy, because the tag drops at your feet. So why would you not give yourself an extra 10% armor on kill and your teammates an extra 10% armor on kill? And rather than using glass cannon, we can actually boost the damage without taking in stuff by using focus, because focus now works with it. So again, basically you're just building this around whatever you want. And again, just like this, you see I've changed it to an armor core. You can make this all armor if you wanted to. It's not going to hit as hard or as strong, but the Ninja Bike still gives everything that you need to get the damage out and get the armor on kill. So no matter how high I take this armor, the percentage does not change. The percentage does not change. And again, we have regular focus right here. So let me show you the other one with the perfect focus. So here we have the perfect focus, and we've even increased the Dr. Home. Again, it's the exact same build. The only difference is we changed out the mod slots. And we added a nice, pretty little color to it. So there we go. There's your total armor versus your armor on kill. And remember, you're also going to give your team 10% of that armor on kill. No extra health on kill, nothing like that. And again, you could even do that where you want a health on kill, put on the firewall specialist. So here's the max damage. We're going to max out the focus. And again, this is with 4 raid cores. You can actually increase this to all 6 raid cores if you wanted to, personally. You might get a little bit more damage out of it, but you still would have exactly the same amount of survivability no matter how you increase the armor versus weapon damage. So, fairly weird build, but it works. Now we come to the Changa Killer, or Dip to Health. This build right here will literally slay, whatever Changa you happen to come up across. So as you see, I'm stacking up my damage. I'm not even shooting him yet. Let's just see what we can get. 1.1. And again, I'm also far away too. I could actually get closer, maybe get some more damage, but still, I'm not using the Coyote's mask, as you can see. So no matter what I do, it's going to be hit for 1.1 that far away. Now, how do we obtain this? Well, that's simple. The All Gear mask. Again, Changas are damage to health. So it's best to use an AR. Why? Because they're mostly damage to health. So as you can see, we got a lot of crit chance, a lot of crit hit damage, even headshot damage, because again, I'm using Focus. Now, we can easily throw on Grupo and get more critical hit damage rather than using the Picaro's holster. This will actually boost our damage even more. Should push you around 1.2 mil per shot. Now, the Kingbreaker, perfect, because we're using the Sniper Specialist, so that way we can get that extra headshot damage, get even more damage out of the weapon. And at the same time, because you come with the Sniper drone, which can pulse everything, that'll keep your pulse going. So you don't even have to use the laser pointer. We don't need it. We can get more damage by putting the headshot damage and actually landing headshots on the Changa, rip his helmet off, and kill him that way. So this right here is literally the Changa Killer. Now, we obtain this again with the mask. It gives us an extra 10% health damage. Because we don't want to go through the Walker, the 3-piece, because they aren't damaged to armor, we just put the All Gear mask on and we're good. We're golden. So, find you one that you can roll weapon damage to, critical hit damage. Now, we have one piece of Walker on. That's for the extra weapon damage. We then have the Iraldi's pristine example for the perfect focus, which gives the most damage. If you go back to the DPS build, you'll see glass cannon versus focus. Focus wins. Now, again, we also have a piece of Fenris on here, Grupo, Overlord knee pads. And that's pretty much it. Everything crit chance, critical hit damage. Foxes, it's just critical hit damage because that's what we want to get out. And pretty much, you're just going to slap through them. You will literally slap through them. And then at the same time, if you have your Busy Bee on, the Busy Bee will also be able to stack up damage as you're stacking the other NPCs. So, now you won't see that kind of damage in here until we get to his health. So if we rip apart his armor and get to his health, you'll see these numbers jump up. Yeah, it did so much damage right there, he didn't even last. 1308. Hazpro, this is for PvP, okay? This one actually does benefit from the Ninja Bike. Now, you don't need to worry about damage when you're Hazpro. You're mostly just trying to go for survivability. So this is where the Ninja Bike actually does come in handy. Now, we can actually get more damage out by putting on the Sokolov onto here. Anyway, we don't need a second piece because that one piece will give us what we need. The Cesca the same way, because the Ninja Bike basically gives you that second piece of brand set. Now, if you do not want to run the Ninja Bike, I suggest putting on Companion or something of damage, because again, you don't have a whole lot of damage. You're mostly for survivability. But if you are going to run it like this with damage, you can actually get the same amount of critical hit damage, critical hit chance out by even just, oh, I think it's a little bit less critical hit chance, sorry, my bad, or critical hit damage. But either way, you will be at 100% burn resistance, 100%, because we simply have the Grenadier on. The Grenadier gives us an extra 20. So you can see we don't have a whole lot of damage. That's one reason why we're using the Lady of Death, to max out what we have for a critical hit chance and critical hit damage, so we can actually produce damage upon a target while we're not taking anything from burn. Now, we also have the Contractors, the Foxes on to get the most multiplicatives. Now, you still need to have one piece of Y'all gear on your build, just so that way you can get that extra hazard protection out. But again, those two ways I just showed you, that's the best way to get the most damage out and get closer to the player. And Dragon's Breath. Oh, this one always makes players mad in the Dark Zone. This is a PvP one. Now we're using the rocket launcher. You can use a crossbow and give your teammates an extra 10%, but this right here literally just makes sure that you get the kill no matter what you do. Now, the capacitor. This one here gives you damaged armor. Because you're all these yellow tiers, this also gives you weapon damage if you happen to have to shoot. The double barrel shotgun with perpetuation on there. That right there will help you get more status out. But the damage comes from 3-piece Empress, skill damage, and status effects. So, we got glass cannon and we have creeping death. Now, there are some players out here, and I don't know if it's a bug, they don't run glass cannon. They run unbreakable in the dark zone, and it still kills the players because of the death. When they die, they transfer to the deal, and it still gives them the damage. So, on here, find yourself one piece of Grupo that you can change to a yellow core later on if you need to, because you can put that crossbow on, or even put on the firewall so you can get burn duration that lasts longer. But that's the player's choice. If you build it like that right there that you saw, you're just going to be able to do this. Players are dead. Now, if they put a booster hive on, they will not die. But as you can see, we're hitting for 750 something, well, it was 756 right there. So yeah. Now, the other chem launcher, not so strong, but still strong. What was it? 560. 560. And they're dead. This thing is called Dragon's Breath for one reason. Because even if I were to stack this on NPCs and I slap you with that, that's 972. You're not surviving. There is no way you're surviving that. Now that they've taken away traps, other people are going to mortars. So now there is a reason to have a explosive resistance build. If you do not have one on your character, you need to go make one. As you can see, mine is explosive resistance and he's got a mortar build. While it is not the strongest mortar build, this is a mortar build nonetheless. Here we go. This is how many shots you can take from a fairly strong mortar build. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 full shots before you die. Now, another bonus to this, even though I do not have it on this character where I have my mortar or anti-mortar build is, if you happen to be moving around, you can easily jammer them if you get enough skill tiers on, or if you can actually get an EMP sticky, stick that thing and shut it off. So, this is the build, Lady of Death. We want to get the damage out. This is where you get the damage, because you're trading all that potential critical hit chance. You need to use an SMG. Plus, on top of that, if you were to get a kill or something of that nature on an NPC and the dude's using a mortar, you can rush up. So, we'll also go over something else a little bit bonus later on. But again, 2-piece Sokolov onto the build is a must. 1-piece Grupo. Again, everything explosive resistance. If you can put as much armor onto it, if you even go 6 full armor, you're still good. Mine is just 4 by 2. Petrov gloves, because we want to get some kind of multiplicative out. And we have Sawyer's knee pads. The Sawyer's actually prevents you from taking the stagger. As you saw in the other clip, I wasn't staggered when he hit me and I rushed up on him. Now, Jammer Pulse, not so good because you don't have the skill tiers. But if you happen to have an EMP sticky, which I just don't have on this character, you still can EMP sticky them. As you can see, I don't have it here, so just so you know, if you EMP sticky that turret, it still will shut it off. Now, a bonus, like I said, booster hive. Drop yourself a booster hive before you rush them. This will allow you to gain the distance on the player even faster. And if they did hit you with the mortar, it stops the bleed. Now, also an added bonus to this right here is the Sawyer's knee pads. Now, a lot of people do not know this. You can actually stack Sawyer's still moving. If you didn't know this, look. It's going away. And look at it come back. Again, as long as you're moving in a corner, you're technically still standing still. I don't get it, but it works. Now for my pistol build. Oh yes, it's my pistol build. Now I'm using the Sniper Specialist for that extra added faster acquisition on targets. Now you can use whatever weapons you prefer here. I like the Carbine 7. It actually does pretty good damage, especially for range. It's more to where it can aim and be more stable, so that's player's choice. But this is the build in total. Literally, we have one piece of Grupo with the Wicked on the backpack to get the extra damage out, but the Liberty pistol is where it's at. You cannot use any other pistol but the Liberty with this. It just works best. And we're not using the DNH because we need the critical hit chance and the critical hit damage, so we're going with a Cesca. Again, one piece Grupo. The Petrov gloves for the multiplicatives in the dark zone. The Fox's prayers for the multiplicatives. And one piece of Walker if you choose to spread out even damage. But since this is a pistol build, if you want the most damage for your pistol, pull out the Douglas and Harding. Now, you do not have to have the Douglas and Harding here. You can put it on a mask. But if you do, you don't use the name one because you need the critical hit chance. Because if you're not landing those headshots, you still want your bullet to crit. At the same time, if you're not using the Liberty and you wanted to use your shotgun or an AR, you want to have the critical hit chance and the critical hit damage. But the Ridgeway's Pride, if you kill a player or leave him on the ground, you can actually get the regen from it. Just leave him bleeding. You get the extra regen. But again, you can actually just turn this into a bleed build and just trade out the Douglas and Harding into a Walker. Or if you prefer to use an AR, you can use it as a Fenris. It works either way. This is basically an all-around build. You can use anything you want to for your holster for whatever weapon you prefer. Again, if you don't like it as a pistol build, hell, turn it into an AR build. Turn it into a shotgun build. Your choice. So you see, we're hitting for high damage. This right here is still going to be the same damage numbers you actually see in the dark zone. And that's the crazy part. That's how strong this can get. But if we put on the Bacaros, again, there's damage. So it has its trade-offs, especially even the Walker versus the Douglas and Harding on here. So don't use Bacaros, whatever you do. If you want to use the Walkers, again, to equal out the damage, you're going to see we lose more damage because it's not about the pistol then at that point. It's about equaling out the damage. So make sure you put that one piece on there if you're going to use that specific weapon. This is a 7.3% armor regen build. It works for the dark zone and it works for PvE. So this build is going to be on the PvP side. As you can see, we're using the name chest piece, one piece of Bellstone, the Murakami knee pads, and because we're using this, we want to get the crit chance for both of our weapons. We use the Cesca, and we have the Mementos. Now the Memento gives us 3% regen. So the build in total without the Mementos will give you 4.3% armor regen. With it is just as it is right here. These armor regen pieces actually, with all of them on all of your parts except for the knee pads, even on the gloves if you put it on the gloves, will give you, no matter how high your armor is or how low your armor is, because you can see I can roll this to a red core if I wanted to. All these, if I wanted to roll to a red core, I can. It will still be 7.3% armor regen, no matter what you do, even if you bring the armor down. Even though it looks like the numbers might be more, it was still 7.3. And this is what 7.3 looks like even in the dark zone. This is the highest you're going to see for that. And at the same time, you're getting the most damage for your buck. Now on this, you can do two things: gunner or put on the firewall. The firewall, because you have the armor regen, will also give you more damage from your shield and give you health on kill, since you don't need the armor on kill. So that is where it becomes player's choice. And I cannot get this thing. It keeps freezing up because of the Ninja Bike thing. I don't know what's going on. I think there's more to the Ninja Bike than what people think, but it will not do it because I had it on here to test, and now I can't get my shield away. So anyway, we'll just talk about it. You can put on a jammer pulse and jammer players skills because you have the memento stack on your backpack. And if you wanted to even put on like a technician, you can even get an extra tier to shut off their stuff, or even NPCs. So again, this is going to be your better shot with the damage. And as you can see, there's my armor regen rate currently right now. I have all my memento stacks and my armor. Now the next 3 builds you're going to see are PvP only synergy. You can use these inside of PvE and you will literally have the exact same amount of damage. PvP players can actually take all of these no matter where they want to go to and use them. The only thing you would trade out is add in to your team the ongoing directive from earlier, and if you want to drop the DPS healer out and put a actual healer like a future healer, go look at that, get the best healer one from there and bring it over here. You can even bring the legendary booster build and boost this up even more to almost an extra 60%. So here we go with the synergy builds. Now again, these 3 builds will also gain from an ongoing, but as you can see, this is a spotter meta type build that you typically see, but the cool part about this is you don't have to, with the team based, use the technician. You can actually put on the grenadier or the minigun. The grenadier will give your team an extra damage to targets out of cover, and the minigunner will actually give your team extra bullets. But on here, whatever weapon you prefer with flatline, and again, this one here is just, I don't know why, but the range on this one here doesn't seem right. But even if it is, cool. But you can put on an Eagle Bearer, you can put on whatever you prefer for your AR, because your other builds will be giving you extra damage. So you don't even need what you're using sometimes. You can even put on a capacitor if you damn well please. Get the extra critical hit damage out. But on this, you can't beat it because even though it has a laser pointer, we can get the damage. So we will show the damage and how this works. Now, this is what the Carbine 7 does. As you can see, it is just a laser beam. I didn't even do anything but just pull the trigger. So, we have the Coyote's Mess to give our team that extra critical hit chance or critical hit damage that they need. This is where this player comes in to help the team out. As you see, we have 2-piece Walker. That is to get the extra critical hit chance out. And we have Companion. Now, Companion, because you're going to be by your teammates or you're going to be by a skill, is going to give you the damage that you need from this build. Rather than using Vigilance, because if you get shot, you lose it. And the Dark Zone, that is a kill shot. You don't want to have that. Go with Companion. Same with this. With the Fenris, we have Spotter. Of course, Spotter. Now, this will also give you the Gruppo for the critical hit damage, and because we have a second piece of Walker, we have damage to armor. And the Overlord knee pads will give you the multiplicative of the damage to targets out of cover. So, with your team, the Commander build comes in and gives you the spot while you use your actual skills. So, you have a roly-poly ball to keep your Companion going, and you can even go with InSync if you prefer and put out a drone to where you always have damage coming from your drone, or put up a Defender drone, whatever you freaking prefer. EMP sticky, something else, whatever you want. Just make sure you have something on there like the roly-poly ball to give you the extra damage from Companion. Now, the DPS Healer. This one here is a neat and fun one. I'm not too good with the chest piece, but it does work. Other players have used this. They love it. The crossbow is where you're going to get your heals from. So this is how it becomes a healer. The Scorpio shotgun is going to allow you to get out the DPS for your team. So basically you take a few shots, take a few more shots, and keep going. Plus with the fire grenade, you can actually throw out with the 612 or the lefty and get the damage to armor on a player and slow them down so your team can kill them. This is basically like a riot foam, plus the team can't shoot, so you can throw on a lefty, get even more damage to armor, and just run shotguns. Because we're running shotguns, we also can do this. We can put on a catharsis, give ourselves some heals, because while we're taking damage, our job is basically to get what damage we can out of our build and survive for the team as the healer. Now the setup backpack is where we're going to give out extra damage to our team. So we're giving them 10% from the crossbow plus this 15% right here. That's 25% added damage. And when I shoot the player with the Scorpio shotgun, we can also, if we stack out 8 shots, we give them an extra 20. So we're giving them basically, in short, 45% damage just from the crossbow, the Scorpio, the backpack, and everything. Plus the healer from this, which is perfectly efficient, will give your team the heals as long as they're nearby you, so you can actually keep them alive without consuming the med kit. So then we have one piece of walker on for the weapon damage, and it gives us the critical hit chance because we technically do not need that extra damage to armor. Then we have a piece of Badger Tough right here for our holster, and using the name one actually does give us a little bit more ammo capacity. It's about 1 magazine total, so might as well throw that into spot. And then of course we have the Fox's Prayers for the multiplicatives. So this right here is how you'll heal your team, get the most damage from the build, and at the same time give your teammates the most damage from the build. Just, you got to use the chest piece. It's got to be this everyday carrier, because if you wanted to use a second piece of walker to get more damage to armor, that's where you would trade off. But again, you lose that that possible chance of maybe using up your using up your med kit. That's what I was going to say. Using up your med kit. So you go from 75 to 50%. So again, your better chest piece is going to be that Bellstone, the everyday carrier. And again, as you see the damage right there, we can throw this out, get more damage to their armor, slow the player down, and just stack up more damage to them. And all 8 shots, you're solo going to kill that player. Solo. And that's a named target right there. Players in the Dark Zone's armor are a purple in here. So if I can kill this named target with 8 shots, pretty much, I'm going to kill a player in the Dark Zone. This is the Commander build. This guy right here is spotting everything, telling everybody where the targets are, and gives them extra boosts. This player right here is the back player. He's the one who plays in the backfield. He's the one who's probably using the Nemesis or something of that nature to kill players. But he's using these 2 skills, which is the Pulse and the Spotter Drone, to give out all the damage. So because he's got that, he's going to run nothing but flatline. Now, on here, you can trade out your Busy Bee stack, put on, let's say, the Orbit or something of that nature, trade off the shotgun, and go straight to Nemesis. Why? Because Nemesis can easily one-tap a player in the Dark Zone. So just go ahead, throw that on there, and whoever your player is that has that, believe me, he's going to love this build. Now, with this, you have the Night Watcher. This is where we get our pulse out. So this will keep the pulse down to about 8 seconds. Then we have the Walker with Companion. So the drone is going to keep your companion going if you're in the back. Second piece of Walker to get the crit chance and the damage to armor. Of course, the Fox's Prayers, and 1 piece of Grupo. But because this guy is a commander, he's the one who's running the tardigrade, because he will have in the back the extra bonus armor to give to players. So it's basically you're giving your players Unbreakable without them having to wear Unbreakable. Plus, the cooldown on the tardigrade is faster. Though it's only 10% less in bonus armor gained back, you're getting it back in 15 seconds. I'll trade 5 more or 15 seconds versus 10% more, especially if I can get it more often. So that is where it comes down to. As you can see, we got 50 versus 40, and we still have the 45 seconds versus that. And on top of that, the bonus armor lasts for, or what is it? Armor is boner for 10 seconds. So you can have it up to 10 seconds. 10 seconds in the dark zone is a long time. That gives you enough time to, if you need to put on a med kit. Now again, these are the two skills he will be running because he's going to be spotting the whole entire time. Now, as you can see, we pulse. That one's pulsed. We can Nemesis shot him. And as you see, that's 4.8. Even at 33%, that's enough to take down one player. If it doesn't take him down, it's definitely going to go through their unbreakable to where they have nothing but the unbreakable. And as you see, we got a spotter drone. It's able to pulse, even though the pulse went away. 5.5. And we can keep pulsing. Now the drone will continuously pulse, so if we need to, we can keep that going. So say they do jammer us, you have another backup pulse, which is the drone. You can actually send it up into the air because you're staying by your players, and that'll still keep going because they can't reach the drone. That's another reason why if they jammer you and you're using your scanner pulse, you can use the drone, send the drone out, say like over there, while you're fighting way back behind me where I'm at right now, and the drone can keep things pulsed up to about the farthest range you can shoot or see a player. So yeah, there's a bonus tip for you to keep the pulse going. Keep the pulse going. Toxicity 2.0, here we go. So the traps went bye-bye. Yeah, everybody was pissed off. The traps went bye-bye. Well, at least some people were happy, some people were sad. Anyway, we got something for you right here. This build right here is Toxicity 2.0. I don't even have to have glass cannon on this. It literally gives you the Mortar build, just a few extra pieces because we got skill tier and skill haste on here versus the Grupo. But we do have one piece of Grupo, which gives us our second piece for the extra explosive damage. So, as you can see, I've got one extra blue core on here. You can drop it down if you wanted to, but the TDI card custom with Spike is where you'll get your extra damage out to where you can basically one-tap any player. If not, it's going to at least two-tap them. You can two-tap them even currently right now. And this is with one blue core on. So if you wanted to, you can drop this exact build down one more blue core. It will still destroy players. It is what it is. It is toxicity at its finest. But again, if you want to, you can take this blue core off, put it back to a yellow, and get the maximum amount of skill damage out, because this is currently right now at 5 tiers. So if you want to take it up to 6, by all means do so. Now these are PvP bot metas and everything else. Again, this is where it becomes player's choice. You can go with the Catharsis Adrenaline Rush, or you can go Ninja Bike like this. Basically, that is all you're going to change, is what do you want for your specialist, and then it's going to be the backpack versus the mask. That's literally all you would change on these pieces. So, then it comes down to what weapon do you prefer? What weapon do you want to play with? Do you want to play with a Kingbreaker? Do you want to do with the AK, Shield Splinter, or SIG MPX? What the heck do you want to play with? That's on you. Again, now the mask right here, the Providence, especially using the Ninja Bike, the Providence is going to give you more than, say, the Umbra. Even though the Umbra gives you the crit chance, it's short by 1% crit chance, and you have the exact same amount of critical hit damage, especially if your piece has critical hit damage on it. So, versus the 15 versus the 10 on there plus the 6, yeah, you're short 1% crit chance. So is that better? No, the Umbra still falls short. Why? Because if you land headshots, even 1 or 2, your damage numbers go up. So the Providence will always out damage the Umbra, no matter what you want to do. Now, If you're going to use a shotgun, okay, by all means. You could trade out the chest piece right here, the Fenris. Go to the perfect Badger Tough, you know, the unbreakable Badger Tough. I have somewhere, it's probably in my stash, I'm not showing it right now. But again, if you want to use shotguns, you can do that. But having a second piece of Walker with the Ninja Bite gives you the extra damage to armor, plus the crit chance from the gloves, so you can get more damage out, versus using the weapon handling. So this allows you to get more weapon damage, more damage to, or not more damage to armor, but close enough damage to armor, plus the critical hit chance that you need, versus weapon handling where you just get to reload a little bit faster, just tiny bit. Now the Brazos holster, of course, extra skill tier, so if you want to use, say, Technician, you can get more skill tiers out. But right now we're sitting at 2, so do you want to increase that or not? Fox's Prayer, extra accuracy. Though we're wasting the rifle damage, we got damage to targets that are covered. You can't beat that in the dark zone. So basically this is where it all comes down to, is what do you want to have on your chest? Do you want Sokolov? Do you want to use SMGs? This would give you the extra SMG and critical hit damage. Do you want to run Badger Tough and put on the Unbreakable? Do you want to use a sniper rifle? What do you prefer as a player? This build is literally universal. All you have to do after this is change your chest piece out. Find the chest piece you want. Do you want to run an extra piece of Providence just to get critical hit damage out? And say go Unbreakable or Spotter. This is exactly where it comes down to. This is a bot build. This is why we call it the bot. Some of us do, is because it's literally you're running the same thing as everybody else. You have no, thoughts on your own build of what you want to make it look like or how you want to run. You just run the same thing as everybody else because everybody thinks that this is the best thing in the whole world since sliced bread. So you're just a bot. That's it. Now, again, is it effective? Yes, it is very effective. The build works no matter what you do. But we finally got the numbers right, so we're sitting at 48 and 156. Weapon damage, same all the way around. Range, 35 meters. Reload time, 1.8. Accuracy, we're up to 40. Stability, 2. Reload speed, yep. And again, it comes down to what weapon do you prefer? Do you want to use the Eagle Bear? I don't know. Let's say you want to use a FAMAS. Does it work with a FAMAS? Yeah. Do you want to use in sync? Okay, there's your talent. How are you going to get in sync out is all it comes down to. Do you want to use a drone? Do you want to use a bleed hive? Invisible hand, glory days, maniac. What weapon do you prefer? Just slap it on there, work with your chest piece. That's pretty much it. Last but final, because of the Relic, I wanted to see if I could make a Relic build. Because again, Determine is really good. Plus being able to get this perfect Determine, which gives crit hit damage out and actually makes it where it automatically crits. I wanted to try to get that extra damage out to the players. Now, is this a perfect build? No. Maybe it can be tweaked. Maybe critical hit damage versus the headshot damage would work better. I don't know, honestly. But you can't beat having the marksman rifle damage out as well, which gives you just more damage because it is a marksman rifle, and the headshot damage. So to me personally, I haven't really gone over the numbers. I just kind of slapped some shit together from some stuff. But again, this is actually really fun. Unstoppable Force is actually a better talent now because of Determined. At the same time, if you want to use Glass Cannon or Focus, that's going to be on you as a player, what you would prefer to use. But this is what I came up with. So we got 2-piece Hotshot, Iraldi's 2-piece Habsburg on here. And again, I've also got 2 blues. But right now, the Foxes. I found the Foxes gives the most damage and allows us to be maneuverable. But I'm also going to show later on that the Sawyer's knee pads, of course, because Sawyer knee pads also increase the damage, can actually be really good with this. And we're at 3 blues, and I can literally almost one-tap with 3 blues. Literally almost one-tap with 3 blues, a yellow. So, let's show some damage, shall we? And we got some targets out here. Now, I may not be able to show the max amount of damage on this first round, because there's a red behind there that I need to kill, because I got to get 5 kills. So there's 3. And, yep. It's not going to show the max damage. So let me just kill these targets, and then we'll show you what the real damage is after we got some kills. There we go. We got Unstoppable Force maxed out. Red dead. Purple did. Purple did. Red did. Yellow, 8.4. 8.4. So, as you can see, the yellow's still alive. And I've got some blues. I can drop one blue off, possibly, and maybe get a one-shot kill on a yellow. This is how strong this build can be. Reds, purples, all those will die. This is heroic as well. There's yellow, 8.4. So yeah. Now, another bonus is I'm going to show you that the third piece of Hotshot does not actually help. Even though it says headshot damage, this is not stronger than the Foxes. No matter what anybody wants to say, it is not stronger than the Foxes. Foxes is like a must in that slot if you want damage. So there's 1 kill, there's 2 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills, 5 kills. Yellow, 8.16. As you see, 8.4 versus 8.16. Yeah, definitely not stronger. So the Foxes wins in slot for maneuverability. If you want to be able to maneuver around with headshot damage on your build, this is where it goes down to. Put the Foxes on. Now, we can also show that the Sawyer's knee pads is going to be stronger. But again, like I said, this extra headshot damage, not worth it. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. Sawyer's. While we're going to get these kills, we're going to stack up Sawyer's. So there it is. All right, we're hitting for basically 2 million in a headshot. 2 million. Imagine that on a hunter. Get a kill. Get a kill. 9. What was that? 9-2. Screw it. I'll just post the numbers up on that. That was like 9-2, maybe 9. I couldn't really tell. More of my crosshairs was in this. That was a headshot too. Oh, there's a headshot. Yeah, let's go. More headshots. Give me some head. Oh, look at that. That was definitely a 9-5. It had to have been a 9-5. I don't know. I'll post the numbers up as I do this. But yeah, we also found I was missing some headshot damage too as I was looking it over. So we got extra headshot damage from the 45 times headshot damage and a headshot mod that goes into the magazine. So let's see how close we can get to killing a yellow, shall we? Oh my god. Almost one-tapped a yellow. Like seriously, it was by a smidgen. Look at that.